In me. All right. We're live, dude. We're live. Okay, so you guys are probably gonna couple things. You're gonna wonder what the heck did they have the word "hoary" up on the screen for. And first of all, I have my good friend and brother in Jesus, Tommy Skyview, and we are doing like pretty much a live stream every week to talk about what seems to be the scriptures of the end times, the prophets wrote down coming to pass during our lifetime, like some things very specific. So we just want to try to study it and analyze it and look deep at some of these things and take them seriously too. So before, like, we always run out of time, like we're talking in the background, and I'm like, should we just start or should we just keep talking? So that's what happens. But Tommy, say hi, by the way. Oh, you're muted.
What up? There we go.
I just was saying to Tommy, thanks for joining me, because I think this is like, I enjoy, I learn every time we do this. I learn a lot. So
Yeah, I look forward to it every week. So,
and that's the whole point. That's the whole point. Because tonight we're actually going to be talking about real people with names, and I don't like to do that, because like, put yourself in the shoes of the people that we're going to be talking about. Well, what I'm going to do for myself anyway is I'm going to consider that someday maybe the people that we're talking about will watch the video and they will be able to see a different point of view, not necessarily accept it or believe the same way, but that they're aware of something that after we watch their video, you'll see clearly that they're not aware of this thing that we're going to be talking about. So, hoary, this is a different. We're gonna okay. So those people, that's Kirk Cameron and a NASA astronaut named Jeffrey Williams. That's the main thing we're gonna be talking about. But before that, I was just showing Thomas something that was interesting. In Job 41. So hoary means grayish white, gray, white, silver, silvery, frost covered. Okay, not too tough of a word. I didn't know what it meant, so I looked it up. Job 41, verse 32. This whole chapter is talking about Leviathan, and it says here, "He maketh a path to shine after him. One would think the deep to be hoary." Well, the deep is, in my opinion or my understanding, the deep is it's dark waters, and they're above the earth. They're above the earth because they're actually beneath God's feet, and it's His secret place. And there's so many times when this place of darkness is mentioned. It's a place of darkness inside the firmament. At least the firmament that is at the end of heaven and earth. That one, the first one, or whatever you would consider it.
Yep.
What are your thoughts on that, actually, real quick?
I'm with you there. It's in the Bible it calls it the ends of the earth.
Okay, so I'm gonna type into Google, or let me make my screen bigger so you guys can kind of just understand.
I think I got one. I think I got one that's related to what you're talking about right now with it. In the Wisdom of Solomon too. It's in chapter. It's either 11 or 15.
Okay.
It's talking about the same thing Job's talking about right here.
Okay.
Let me find it while you're talking.
Yeah, I don't have much to say at the moment, because right when I got to Google and I got it on the page, then I said to myself, what was I going to look up again? I do that all the time. It's part of being me. It just is. But so this Leviathan, in Job 41, let's go there again. That'll remind me. Okay. Oh, that's what I was looking up. I was going to type into the Google Twilight launch.
Here it is right here. It's in chapter 11 in that Wisdom of Solomon.
Oops, 3Ds. That just added it. Sorry, bro. Go ahead.
It says in verse 18, "Or newly created and unknown wild beasts, full of rage, either breathing out a blast of fiery breath, or belching out smoke, or flashing dreadful sparks from their eyes." which had power
Oh,
not only to consume them by their violence, but to destroy them even by the terror of their sight. Let's talk about those beasts.
yeah, we're going to be talking about those beasts because even Kirk Cameron mentions these beasts, but I don't think
Yep.
he knows that he's mentioning these beasts. Okay, can you see on the screen here? Yeah, you can see my pointer, can't you?
Yep. Got the plume.
Okay, this is a rocket launch that's happening at twilight. It's happening like in the early evening or whatever, late evening, whatever you want to call it. And up here at the front is where the rocket is, and it's going this direction, right? And, you know, if you just want to look at it like it just in like a physics way, they would say that this light color here, that the sky is turning, all this light here, it's just exhaust gases. And the reason why they expand outward so fast is because it's like it almost no pressure up there. So it's like literally expanding immediately. Like, what do they call that? Entropy or something? Like,
That's a new word. I think I've heard that before.
yeah, well, like if you have a container that has pressure in it or something, I'll say a different pressure than just the room you're in. Like if you have Pringles, a package of Pringles or something, if you take them up in an airplane, I'm not sure, but I think that they would build pressure inside of the Pringles can, and so when you'd open it, it would like pop.
Oh, okay.
But what causes the pop? It's just like equalizing the pressures, because the container is the only thing that it's like when you're diving, same thing. If you have an oxygen tank, there's oxygen in the container, and you know what I'm saying. It's just a simple concept, but so it was interesting. Like it's really interesting to me because in Job 41, when it says he maketh a path to shine after him. Isn't that interesting? It says one would think the deep to be grayish white, hoary.
Right.
Or silver. Okay, look at what else it says. He maketh the deep to boil like a pot. He maketh the sea like a pot of ointment. The last verse, he beholdeth all high things. He is king over all the children of pride. So then I'm going to get something else up on the screen. It'll take me a second. It was that verse I had scrolling. So Job 41:20 is going to come up on your screen, or it should. Okay. And I'm going to put a video on the screen just of something that happened today, just like maybe 2 hours ago, or maybe 3 hours ago. And it was in Boca Chica, Texas, and it was at SpaceX facility. Okay, I'll read this verse. These verses are all talking about Leviathan. It says, out of his nostrils goeth smoke, as out of a seething pot or cauldron.
That's what Jeremiah. That's why I was telling you earlier. That's what
Jeremiah.
said.
Yep.
It's right here in chapter 1.
Is Jeremiah talking about Leviathan?
No, he's talking about a vision that the Lord's showing him, and he says in verse 11, moreover, the word of the Lord came unto me, saying, Jeremiah, what seest thou? And he said, I see a rod of an almond tree. Then said the Lord unto me, thou hast seen well. Hey,
what chapter? I'm sorry to interrupt you. What chapter is that? I want to look something up while you're reading it.
That's chapter 1, verse 11 through 14. But it's talking about...
It's right away at the beginning. Okay, awesome. Yep.
It says, and the word of the Lord came unto me the second time, saying, what seest thou? And I said, I see a seething pot, and the face thereof is toward the north. Remember that north?
Yep.
I think he's talking about the waters above boiling.
Yeah, the deep. You know, That's something I think is commonly misunderstood in the truth community or the flat earth community or whatever you want to call it. The earth is not a globe community. people that believe the truth and have searched it out. Those people.
Right. Yeah.
I think there's a misconception of the creation itself that's taken. It's it's bound to be like we have found that so many things. Sorry, I have to just pause that. So many things that we thought were 100%. We have learned were a lie. Like so many things. So many.
Right.
So don't be surprised if there's more, is all I'm saying. Like I think that most people that have experienced this journey or are experiencing this journey know that what they expect is probably off in some kind of way, but it's something like you get what I'm saying. Like we can all say, oh, the earth is not a globe, that's a lie, and then we can speculate on where the lie came from, who's telling the lie, but we know that there's a lie. How is that? How is that possible? How do we know that there's a lie?
Well, I think that God's leading us, telling us that
Yes.
it's a lie.
Here's what I would say if I was going to put it in words. I was going to say the truth,
There you go.
and I mean the truth, is actually supernatural. So science can't understand it. Science won't be able to predict anything about it. You know how science is always, like people say, that's what the globe predicts. So whatever. And I'm like, who predicts? You know what I'm saying? Only God predicts.
Yeah.
And he even told his prophets predictions.
What if what's doing the prediction is a lie to begin with? That ain't good.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, are you ready to get scared about what Christian like? Okay, first let's do
This video is a trip, man. That's crazy.
It's a trip.
Yeah.
We're gonna watch a 17-minute video, you guys, but and we're gonna watch the whole thing because I don't want to.
I would, yeah.
I don't want it to seem like you didn't get to see the whole video. And there's actually a link in the description of this video already. There's a link to this video of Kirk Cameron's interview.
It had me in shock, man. I was like, wow, did he just say that?
It's unbelievable what he says. It's
Yeah.
unbelievable.
And you don't even know what he's saying. Like, it's crazy.
So, first of all, here's what I want to say. Kirk Cameron's probably awesome. I don't know him personally, and I'm new to his channel. This is the first video I've ever seen him do of his own. I saw him in a video, or maybe a few videos, with Ray Comfort, who I like Ray Comfort. I don't agree with no Christian agrees with every other Christian. Okay. Right. So when me and Tommy are talking, we're gonna crack some jokes and we're gonna take it seriously, but we're like, in no way do we have anything against Kirk Cameron or even this astronaut. I can't be a judge of these guys, and I don't want to be. If like I was saying before, and Thomas, maybe you can elaborate on this a little bit, but our intention ultimately would be that the verses that we're going to look over that kind of oppose some of the things that Kirk is saying and this astronaut are saying, the scriptures are going to speak these things in opposition to what they're saying, and it's not me or Thomas wanting anything to anyone to look bad at Kirk or anything. What we ultimately want is that someday maybe, and I think, I mean, this isn't the only motivation, but someday maybe both of these guys we're talking about might actually see this video and actually have the, I don't know what you'd call it, the patience to entertain or consider what someone else is saying. It's not an attack in any way. Tommy, can you elaborate on what I'm trying to say?
No, you're right. You're right for sure. Maybe it'll run across them, and obviously they believe the Bible,
Yep.
and they'll look at it a different way. maybe.
And that's what the main reason why I saw this video this week. I sent it to Tommy, and I'm like, I think we have to kind of expose something that's kind of not being said here.
I was gonna play it on Facebook, but I was like, nah, wait till we do the video. Tomorrow. I'm probably gonna play it on the way back to Tennessee.
Okay, so
For
I'm gonna
sure.
read. I'm gonna read the description of this video before we play it, and then I just. Oh, I lost it. Oh yeah, you know what?
We're
I gotta.
right now. Right now, people, we're hyping up the video.
Yeah. No, I do want to say this. If I disappear, there's a possibility that my computer just did a shutdown and it's like restarting. It just did it like maybe an hour ago. I have no idea why, so I lost what was on my notepad. So whatever.
Okay.
I'm glad I didn't have too much on there that we needed. But okay, so we're done with the Job thing. I just wanted to point out those. It's kind of interesting how some of these things. This Leviathan sounds like a spacecraft. Sounds like a giant spacecraft. I'm
There's
just
a
saying.
there's a lot of these beasts and creatures and that sound like spacecrafts to me. Just saying.
Yep. So a brief summary, just so people aren't like in the dark, like what are we watching and whatever. Okay, there's an interview of two people. One of them is Kirk Cameron. I don't know if I don't remember what show he was on, but he was in a TV show when I was a kid. It was like a popular show, maybe when I was like a teenager. What? Yeah, I can't remember what it is.
He was
Maybe
an actor?
someone. Yeah, famous
I
actor.
didn't know that.
Yeah, famous actor. But if
I thought he
if
was
someone in the
just a-
chat knows, just put it in the comments in the chat,
What's
and
his name
we'll say
again?
it. Kirk Cameron.
It sounds familiar, man. It does.
Yeah, he's a famous Hollywood guy, but he's also what I would call a strong Christian.
He's a preacher now or something.
No, he's just a person, but
Okay.
he definitely has a ministry. Do you know who Ray
Love me,
Comfort
Ray.
is?
Yeah, I know who Ray Comfort is. for
Okay,
sure.
yeah, he does work with Ray Comfort sometimes.
Yeah.
They do like together. I've seen him on Ray
Okay.
Comfort's videos. Like back in the day, I think they did like weekly thing or something maybe. So he's been, I guess I would say, preaching the gospel or spreading the words of Jesus around for a long time. So
Say his name one more time. I'm gonna Google search it.
Growing Pains, that's what he was on. Growing Pains.
Oh,
Thank you,
Growing
Ironwork
Pains.
Night
Okay.
and Nez Lover. I forgot to glance over at the chat. So, but I don't care what show he was on, Tommy. I really don't. That's not.
I heard it.
I don't care about that. What I want to do is I want to just give a brief intro to who Jeffrey Williams is, and I just have to. What do I have to do?
Okay, yeah, I know who. I definitely know who Ray Comfort is. I see his face right here.
Yeah, Ray Comfort is another good guy. I mean, these guys.
I thought that was what's that other guy that we sometimes you play videos about him. Geez, I forgot his name.
I've made videos about a lot of globe preachers.
Yeah, he's a New York. He's from New York. I forget his name. He's an old guy though. He's probably Ray Comfort's age, maybe older.
New York, he's from.
Yeah, you did a video about him talking about the geez, what was it? It was something about the creation.
Well, who
according to the
cares?
Bible.
I want to get
Yeah.
to this.
I hear it.
We could. I just don't want to get off track because I want to try to keep this
I
to
hear
like
you.
2 hours. But there's a lot to talk about in this video. So he's an astronaut, guys, a NASA astronaut. He built he was on shuttle missions, and he had a massive part to do with building the space station. That was his career, riding on the shuttle, bringing modules up and all this. That's what he did. And I mean, he spent a lot of time up there. I don't
He
want
was there
to
from
want
the
to.
beginning, right?
Yeah, he was there. Like when there was the first two were attacked, like the Russian and the I forgot what they're called, but when the two modules, the Russian and the NASA modules were connected, and that's when I think maybe a couple launches or something, and they actually started living in there right away. So, or not right away, but I mean, he was one of the first people that lived on the space station,
Gotcha.
if you can call it lived on the space station. So And I know, keep in mind, guys, there's another thing to keep in mind. Some of us don't believe anything that this guy says, right? But let's do this. What I'm saying is that some of us are flat earthers, okay? And he's a space guy. I have my theories about the possibility of, I don't even understand it all, but some people are drawn to darkness, and they don't comprehend the light. But this guy here is something else. I'm just saying this guy is unique. You're going to hear a lot of truth coming out of this guy's mouth in our video.
For sure.
A lot of it. And same with Kirk Cameron. He's going to spit a lot of truth too. And so there's a lot that you'll get kind of mixed feelings maybe during this, being like, well, that these guys are right on. And then when there's something that we feel like that they're kind of passing over the idea, and it's not like they've ever even thought about it this way. I'm just saying
there's a lot of people like that.
Yeah. The first time you hear about something, that first time you have to be able to comprehend that it's actually a thing.
Just like John 10:1 alone, Joe. That one verse.
Yep.
Like they don't understand what that's even talking about. Like,
yeah, and I mean, we're gonna try to make it blatantly clear, or blatantly obvious, whatever, with verses tonight. And I want these guys to hear them. I want these guys to think about them. And I don't decide what anybody believes. I don't decide if there's anything good or bad about it. But Tommy's the same way. We're sharing something that we see, like not to change other people, but to make them aware of the thing that we're kind of aware of here. You know, it's not like when I became aware of it, I'm like, no, that's crazy. But you can see a definite thing going on that a lot of people are just overlooking. So I'm sorry I'm dragging it on. Let's watch our video. Tommy, say whatever you need to say too, and I'll just pause it. So, I mean, you can leave your mic on or whatever.
I'm going to...
We'll probably pause the video quite a few times. But here's just a short clip of... Oh, boy. You guys... This is like kind of intimidating to talk about this even. Let me get you over to this. Okay, add to stream. Or how do I do that? Sorry guys, I'm still learning how to use StreamYard after 4 years or whatever. So, all right, we got it. Okay, so the link to his videos in the description, and here's a little intro thing that they talked about that we'll be talking about in depth for sure tonight.
I remember going out the door one time in the middle of the night pass, and it was like just black as black.
I forgot to preface, he's talking about a spacewalk that he did on the space station.
And going out the door, really, and all you could see was what the helmet lights were illuminating with structure around you. And beyond that was black. You couldn't see stars because of the reflection of the helmet lights off the structure. And it was like an abyss.
Like an abyss.
Yeah. So if you have a fear of things like that, you're probably in the wrong business.
Okay, I think that was just a little intro I wanted to give. Because it's not that me and Tommy are just coming up with an idea to go on YouTube and talk gibberish about it. It's a real thing that we're talking about.
Yeah, I couldn't make this stuff up.
In the Bible, and everyone knows this. Tommy, I'm getting that sound already.
Okay.
In the Bible, everyone knows this, and everyone would agree upon it. There is a bottomless pit mentioned, whether it be physical or whether it be spiritual, whether it be allegory, or I don't care. There's a place of darkness, an abyss of darkness, in the Bible, and it we might, just like we were so confident about the earth, and then many of us now find ourselves
That's a good point, Joe.
Seeing a different earth, you guys. It's a different earth to many of us. Like, it's so crazy that in the book of Revelation, John he like looks and he goes, "Hey, I saw a new heaven and a new earth." And there was no more sea. We're going to be talking about that sea.
There you go. Yep.
Because our astronaut fellow just mentioned it. Here's what he said about it.
And it was like an abyss.
Like an abyss.
Yeah. So if you have a fear of things like that, you're probably in the wrong business.
If you have a fear of things like that, you're probably Jeffrey Williams. Like, just think about what you're saying. And if you actually experience these spacewalks, and you're the one describing this abyss, do keep in mind that your Savior, Jesus Christ, that I would say there's nothing wrong with being bold as an astronaut and claiming the name of the Son of God and his works and his glory. Okay, nothing wrong with that. I got no problems with that. That's, I think we're even like asked, can we do that and justify ourselves? Like, can show his glory or show his praise? Like, that's what we want to do. So like, I think that's great, but I have a little reservation in my back of my mind because of basically what you're saying. If you have a fear of things like that, it's probably not the right business to be in. But so maybe you don't have a fear of it because maybe you look at it as something to explore. But I think it's Tommy, can you help me out here? I think this is important to talk about for just a second. How is an abyss something attractive, Mr. Williams? Like, that does not make sense if you're a follower of the dominion owner of the heavens, the one that said the heavens is my throne and the earth is my footstool. I don't understand that.
It's a strong delusion. Exactly what it is.
And is it so they believe a lie?
Yep.
I'm just saying, like, that just. It says they receive not the love of the truth. That's what Paul wrote to the Thessalonians. He said something about all unrighteousness and.
Could be that astronaut was gathered to that battle. I mean, you say that
It could be, yeah.
Who knows if they're even humans? But I'm just saying, like.
Well, and that's the thing. Like right now, I'm pretending that let's just say Jeffrey Williams happened to see his name. He searched his name and somehow got the description of this video, and he's watching right now. Okay, I can't accuse him and say I know you're sinister. I can't do that.
No.
But because of what he says, when we watch this video, you'll understand why I think this guy's pretty cool. Like, what I'm saying is there's just the place that he's claiming to go and explore and build physical objects and structures in happens to be claimed by God and not given to man, like the heavens. So let me play this rest of this clip. I'm sorry I'm dragging on. This is mind-blowing when you guys see this stuff that they're saying. I'm just going to play it.
I want to read one scripture and ask you one question.
Okay.
David is writing this from the perspective of earth in the Middle East. When I consider your heavens, the work of your fingers, the moon and the stars, which you have ordained, what is man that you are mindful of him? And he's saying that from the ground. You've been up in the heavens where the stars live, and you've considered the work of God's hands and asked the question, who am I? Last question. Now that you've been up in the heavens, outer space, what does it make you think about what heaven will be like?
It's only a glimpse, right? We only get a glimpse of our experiences in life, that being one possible experience, and then the descriptions of heaven that were given at the end of Revelation and elsewhere.
Where are those places? He just brought up the book of Revelation, and he's right.
He knows
We're
the
given
scriptures, yeah.
we're given great descriptions of that place in the book of Revelation. And that book, by the way, that book of Revelation, that book is the testimony of Jesus Christ from heaven. He's dictating that from heaven, sent an angel to John to show it to him in a vision. So this book of Revelation it's probably the most solid word of God that anybody has, because it didn't even have to go through a prophet. Well, yeah, it did, I guess. John wrote it down. But I guess what I'm saying is these are the words of Jesus. And heaven is up in the sky.
Well,
And
a lot of revelation is scattered out throughout the Old Testament too.
That's true, yeah.
Yeah, it is.
Where it just gives us a glimpse. But it's going to be pure bliss. And
Pure
there
bliss.
we'll be face to face with the Creator, only because of His provision in Christ.
So this guy, like I'm torn here in my thinking. Like, not torn. I'm just saying I don't know what to think, because of I'm seeing one thing coming out of his mouth that I like,
He's
but
confused.
then I'm seeing his career as being some. So here's what I have to do. Sorry about the intro, guys. That was a couple little clips. Here's the actual video, and I'm pausing it before he even says a word, because I wanted to read you just the simple description of the video, the live that we're doing right now. Can a man leave the earth and ascend into heavens to take pictures? Can a man ascend into heaven? Reminds me of when Jesus said, "If I have told you earthly things and you believe not, how shall you believe if I tell you of heavenly things? And no man hath ascended up to heaven, but he that came down from heaven, even the Son of Man which is in heaven." So there's an astronaut that believes in Jesus. Is there conflict between this astronaut's beliefs and what Jesus teaches? And there's Lucifer to think about. He said in his heart that he was going to ascend into heaven and exalt his throne above the stars of God. Lucifer said he would ascend above the heights of the clouds and be like the Most High. He said that he would set his congregation in God's holy mountain. Then the prophet Isaiah wrote that even though Lucifer had these desires to go up to the heavens, he would be brought down to hell, to the sides of the pit. So here we go. Kirk Cameron uploaded an interview that he did with a NASA astronaut named Jeffrey Williams. Here's the link. That's in the description. The reason I want to look at this is so that others can see another point of view that is not always easy to see. It is only meant to benefit anyone who views it. Having knowledge of the points of view that others have is beneficial in many ways. Believe what you want, but make sure that what you want is not made up by men on earth and in opposition to God in heaven. There's a great deception happening in many ways in our time. Will we be able to overcome the devil? When a lie is exposed and truth is revealed, a person is faced with an option to repent or to try to justify the lie. Sometimes we don't know something's a lie, and there's a first time for everyone to comprehend that said lie is even a lie, right? Sorry if I worded that bad, but you have to, if you don't know that there's a lie, I mean, I don't think God would hold you accountable for anything.
I agree.
Until if he makes it known to you, I hope you do the right thing.
The problem
Like,
is,
I hope
Joe,
I do the right thing. Hold on, let me just finish. There's
okay.
two more
Sorry.
sentences.
No, you're good.
Sorry. Turning from the lie isn't always easy, but the way of the lie is the path to destruction, and the way of the truth is the path to salvation. So, go ahead, Thomas. You're muted, bro.
I agree with what you're saying, but the problem with that would be that in the end, it's revealed to the world. Like, I don't think it's how do I say that? There's no option for someone not to see it, to be revealed to them. Like,
You're saying
isn't
at a certain point in time, it's revealed to everything,
There you go.
everyone. Yes.
Yep.
And it's amazing that Jesus did send us the book of Revelation, because in that book, it literally says that it's for his servants to show them what must come to pass. He's giving his servants knowledge from outside of time, which this is amazing if you think about it. He makes a claim 2,000 years ago to John in a vision, and he says, hey, there's things that I'm going to do, and here they are. You're going to see them this way. You're going to see these things. And it's like, yeah. You guys ready for the video? We're just going to watch it, and I think we should pause it where we need to, but we won't have like long dialogue in between. We'll just pause it and make the point. This is like a conflict, and then we'll try to just move along. But anything else you want to say before we get started, Tommy?
Maybe we read a couple of those, like John 10:1, Amos 9:2, Obadiah.
Yeah,
like,
definitely. Do you want to grab those? I'm not going to put them up on the screen because I think my computer's already going to be like kind of slow.
I know those three by heart. So
Yeah, just say them if you know them, because
sure.
we don't have to have them on the screen or anything.
go with it.
Oh, the video, or you want to go to those verses? I'm sorry, I misunderstood you.
I mean, we can read them when he says the things that he says.
Okay, yeah, at the relevant time. Yeah, okay,
Sure.
I got it.
Yep.
All right, here we go. And just if you want me to pause it, just speak up, and we'll pause it, and we'll continue after we talk.
Gotcha.
Thanks, bro.
No problem.
The Creator as its explanation.
What are some of the dynamics that you've seen experienced in outer space that point us to God?
You see human activity on the earth from that vantage point. You see vegetation, you see crops being grown, and then you go to realize he made it to be inhabited. And he precisely designed it to support us.
I gotta tell you, I feel a little starstruck. When I was a kid, the thought of being an astronaut was a dream. Was that a dream for you as a kid?
I never imagined it would be possible as a kid. It was during my later years at West Point, that I realized there was an opportunity to not only get into flying and becoming a pilot, and then experimental test pilot. The first Army astronaut was selected in '78, and that's 1978 was really when I made it a goal. I was about 20 years old.
So go back and give us a little bit more of your background. You grew up on a dairy farm in the coldest place on earth. We know that because it was called Winter, Wisconsin. Wisconsin's cold enough, but you have a city called Winter, Wisconsin.
Yeah, and it's a dot on the map. And actually, I don't think it was named after the season. I think it was named after a family by the name of Winter,
Okay.
as I recall. But it is cold there, guaranteed 40 below every January. But it was a wonderful place to grow up.
You had a military background. You went to West Point.
Mm-hmm.
So at that point, is that where you got interested in your flying?
Yes. My father was a school teacher and a guidance counselor when I went through my high school years.
Okay.
And he got working with recruiters, military recruiters. He got the opportunity to tour all the military academies. And that's when I became aware of West Point in particular, and decided to apply because I didn't have a better idea. And then I ended up there.
And that path to becoming an astronaut, how difficult is that?
Well, it's an endurance. I set it as a goal in the late 70s. I applied initially in 1985. I didn't get selected until 1996. So it was over a decade of applying to NASA. I interviewed 3 times with them over those years, and then finally wore them down, and they selected me.
You wore them out. And then you were also part of the constructing of the International Space Station. What was that experience like?
Yeah, and the providence of God, it was amazing. The timing was perfect because I got there before we put up the first element of the space station. And my entire career since 1996, has been dedicated to the building. My first time there was only 2 modules. It was before the first permanent crew got there. It was, relatively small. It was a 10-day visit. Then the next time we were halfway through building it. It was actually during the time the space shuttle was grounded after the Columbia accident in 2006. It was just one Russian crewmate and me for several months. We started flying the shuttle again, resumed assembly. I went back in 2009, and through the spring of 10, we finished the assembly then. And then most recently in 2016. So my entire career with NASA spanned the building, assembly, and operation of the International Space Station.
Okay, I have to pause it. Tommy, I think you might. Here's what I want to just point out. Okay, this is just kind of by chance that his career took place like basically the shuttle days when they brought all this garbage up there and put this thing together, right? And like Mark Shirey in the chat says, now we know it's baloney. Hey, I get it, and I'm not saying that it is or isn't, because what we're trying to point out is it's like a different category than space is fake, but it's on the same it's the same thing, but it's a different way to look at it. Maybe I would say space is dark instead of space is fake. Space is blackness. It's an abyss of darkness. There's a place in the Bible that it's and like the Book of Enoch and all these apocrypha, there's a place of darkness, and to my understanding that this outer darkness is actually filled with fallen angels, and they're deceiving angels. Their main goal is to deceive mankind, and angels can take different forms of light in the heavens. That's why Paul said that we're not struggling against flesh and blood, but against powers and principalities and the rulers of the darkness of this world, spiritual wickedness in the heavenly realm. Not on earth here with us, in the heavenly realm. So when astronauts like Jeffrey Williams are talking about going up into the heavenly realm, it really it makes them suspect of what I can't even really define how it would work or whatever, or really what it looks like. It's sinister in some way if you look at it through the Bible. And it's not that it's sinister on the part of any man. It's not that NASA's lying. It's not that SpaceX is lying, or that all the governments that send rockets into orbit or whatever, or have, that they're all colluding together and lying. It's not that. Paul just said it. It's not flesh and blood. It's not your brother, your neighbor, your friend, your distant person you don't know. It's not a person. That's right. Paul clearly said this. And I believe what Paul said, because I think Paul actually was given by the same form of that John was given revelation. Paul was given revelation, but it was something that wasn't supposed to be uttered until a certain time. And Paul couldn't even say it, but a mystery was revealed to him, and he preached his gospel according to that mystery. And we don't know what that mystery was. So, I mean, I think I know what it is, but I don't think anyone knows what it is. But anyway, back to this. The building of the space station happens to coincide with, this is my opinion here, this is my belief. When I read the vision that Daniel had in Daniel 7, and he saw 4 great beasts, and they were these kings that were arising out of the earth. Keep the context here of what this astronaut, he rode the shuttle up out of the earth, right, to go to the space station and build this thing up there. In that vision, it describes these 4 beasts, and the first beast that it describes, it really has very clear similarities to what the shuttle is. And we can talk about that later. But the first beast he saw, it was lifted up from the earth, and it was it had the man's heart was given to it. If you look at it a certain way, it could very easily be the space shuttle. It had wings too, and the prophet Daniel said he watched watched it while the wings were plucked. And I'm thinking of the shuttle. I mean, you just heard him say while the shuttle was grounded, and then shortly after it was retired for good. Its wings were plucked.
The third beast was as a leopard, and it had 4 wings of a fowl. I mean, look what you're looking.
Yeah, look on the picture. And also, this beast that came up from the bottomless pit in Revelation, it's John saw it, and there was this whore that was riding this beast, and it was scarlet colored. Look on your screen. That's scarlet colored.
And it remember it was, is not, yet
and
is.
Yet is. Almost as if they're faking, or like if it's as if space is fake, right? That's what it seems like to me.
Yeah.
And so in that matter, yes, space is fake. Mark Shire's giving us more info. He says that pic don't look real. I get it. You know what? You know why it doesn't look real, Mark? This is my belief, but Mark, you've overcome a lie of delusion that we all were born into, and to me, that's the grace of God, and that's the truth, and you can only know it by seeking the truth. And so it's so important that we try to make sure that as many people as can understand the conflicts that we're trying to point out in what these guys are saying. These guys are Christians. They believe in God. They believe the Bible. So let's take that. It's not like we're accusing them. What I'm doing is I'm saying, well, what if you're telling me that it's an abyss, and the only abyss I see that's in the Bible is called the deep, and it's like waters, dark waters, and they're above the earth. So that does make sense. Abyss of darkness, outer darkness, where there be weeping and gnashing of teeth. There's conflict in what he is doing from what he's saying out of his mouth. And I'm not trying to accuse him. I'm trying to say, anybody that can see that, I think you're overcoming this delusion, this strong delusion, this great deception. I think you're over it. If you watch them land those rockets, and you say to yourself, that's just a video in reverse, or you say to yourself, that's just CGI, they don't do that. To me, that just clearly says that in your world, there's nothing like that to even consider. You've overcome this great, huge lie and these great wonders that are being done. Well, like fire coming down out of heaven on the earth in the sight of men. This is what that describes exactly what the landing rocket does. So, and it says he deceived the people in the world with those great wonders. So just think about that. What if that was a landing rocket and all these people are cheering and thinking that this is the future, and Mark Shire's over here going, you guys shouldn't be believing in that garbage. I think I'd rather be in Mark Shire's shoes than someone that's believing something that I'll just say it. It's evil. It's blasphemy against God and his tabernacle and those who dwell there. I don't know how many scriptures I've read that say that the angels were disquieted with a great disquiet. That word disquiet, the angels fear and they get nervous when these wagons are flying in the sky. So something is, there's more to understand than what we can know about while we're dwelling here, Back to the video. I'm going to zip my lip, and Thomas, sorry.
Let's not forget about those thieves and robbers.
Yeah, if you want to read anything, just do it. Right, you can do it now, or you can just pipe in any time and I'll pause it. So
I'm sure everybody knows about John 10:1.
Yeah, you know what? I got my Bible right here. I'll just turn to John 10:1 and read just one verse, maybe, or two verses.
What if that astronaut is a thief and a robber?
And that's what's scary, because what if he was and didn't know that he was?
There you go.
What if, think about this, Tommy. I'm not saying that this would happen, but like the possibility of something like this happening could happen. Like, so what if this guy, because he's retired astronaut and stuff, it's not like he's going to space anymore. He's more or less just retired guy trying to live with probably his wife and, you know, nice quiet life. Like, he's just a person like us, right? But what if he did become aware of some of these things that we seem to be pointing out? Maybe, and he, like, what if he is a genuine dude that is seeking the truth and does care? He not only believes in Jesus, but he believes the words that Jesus said too.
There you go.
What if? And
That'd
I'm
be
not
amazing.
saying, like, for him to repent, he's already done what he's done, but I know that the God of heaven, the one that in Isaiah said, I will blot out all your transgression for my name's sake, I know that God doesn't care what a person has done if they've turned from something and turned towards him, turn towards
There you
truth.
go.
That's why I was reading the description. When you see the truth, and then, like, when you become aware that there's a lie that you're like, I couldn't believe that wasn't true, and it takes a long time to even comprehend that it actually is a lie and the truth. It's like when that happens, there is a choice to make. So, like, that's my intention, that we get through to people just to think about these words are just there. It's not like we have to change the meaning. Darkness is night. That's what God called it. He called the light day. Darkness he called night.
Or a
Simple.
secret place.
Yep, it's his secret place. It's underneath his feet. There's a sea of glass that is like, I believe all that. So here we go. With no further rambling, here we go. Oh, rumbling, by the way, I just have to say that I thought Jake Paul, I don't know if anybody watches that stuff, but I was kind of interested in that, just watching that fight, and whoa. Jake Paul he's a hard worker. That's all I'll say. He did really good.
Mike Tyson would take him.
I think Mike Tyson would still take him. He's even right now how they both are. I think Mike Tyson would take just about anybody probably still.
Right.
He's an animal. Okay, here we go.
And you know, it's not like you just get on a bus and go to the International Space Station. I mean, you're on a rocket ship. You're strapped to these tanks of fuel that are throwing you up into space and into outer space to, like, the Airbnb in the sky, the International Space Station, but you actually have to construct.
Okay, I had to pause it. I'm not going to talk long about it. Is there in the Bible? Is there an Airbnb in the sky?
Yeah.
Didn't Lucifer talk about that? Yeah, Obadiah. And I forgot to read John 10:1, which says, "Verily, verily, I say unto you, he that entereth not by the door into the sheepfold, but climbeth up some other way, the same is a thief and robber." And that's why Tommy was saying, what if this astronaut is a thief and a robber? And, like, that's when I said, what if thief and robber doesn't even know? So that's why we're making that's like one of the main reasons why we would make a video, like a kind of like a I don't know what you'd call it, like a, not a response video, or maybe whatever, that idea.
Obadiah.
And 1 verse 4.
Yeah. Read the 5 too, because it's talking about those thieves again.
Okay, I gotta turn to it here. I know 4, but I don't know 5. Okay, I'm having trouble here, Thomas. You know what? I'm gonna go to my computer.
I can read it. I got it right in front of me.
Oh yeah, read it, man. Sorry, I'm trying to look it up.
It says, thou exalt thyself as the eagle, and though thou set thy nest among the stars, thence will I bring thee down, saith the Lord. If thieves came to thee, if robbers by night, how art thou cut off? Would they not have stolen till they had enough? If the grape gatherers came to thee, would they not leave some grapes? I don't understand that last part, but
Well, I think when you I don't know about the grapes. I had an idea, but I think like when back in the day, it was like something that they wouldn't pick all the grape, or they'd pick the grapes, but they'd go through them kind of fast and they'd leave.
Listen to the next verse, Joe.
Okay, go ahead.
It says, "How are the things of Esau?" Remember, Esau was the last. It says, "How are the things of Esau searched out? How are his hidden things sought up?" Wow, I never read that.
That just says to me how, like it almost says to me, when things are revealed, how
There you
how
go.
do people receive them? You know what I'm saying? Like, how does someone receive the truth when for me, I'm 37 years old at the time. Now I'm 45, almost 46. So almost like 8 years ago, whatever, something changed. So like, yeah, let's get back to the video. But so in other words, Obadiah 1:4, it says, for those who set their Airbnb in the up with the stars, thence I will bring thee down, saith the Lord. And essentially, right? Oh, you're muted. But I'm gonna mute too, and we'll watch the video. I'm sorry, guys. If you
You're good.
if you ever wanted to drag it out, just hire me. I'll come over and we can drag it out.
The thing, and you're there with one guy from Russia. What? This sounds like a made-up story, but you lived it.
Yes, yeah.
What is that like, being on a rocket ship, hearing the roar of those engines? I mean, if you don't have faith in God, there's a good time to get some faith in God, because who knows what's going to happen.
Well, faith in God is central to it, but you also have to have faith in the team that put the rocket together and prepared it for launch. And yeah, no, it was amazing. My first flight on the space shuttle, 7.5 million pounds of thrust at liftoff.
Of thrust.
Of thrust.
Not of fuel, but of thrust.
Of thrust. 7.5 million pounds of thrust at liftoff to lift a 4 million pound vehicle, which is mostly fuel on board. And you expend that fuel in less than 9 minutes. And 8 minutes and 53 seconds to be exact. And then you're going 17,500 miles an hour when the engine cuts off.
How fast?
17,500 miles an hour, which is orbital velocity. That's the speed you have to go to stay in orbit around the Earth.
Wow. And when you're in the International Space Station, how big is that? I mean, are you in a room, a 10 by 10 room, or how big is that?
It started out small. We built it piece by piece. Each piece was about 40 feet long, 12 feet in diameter. Assembled it over all those years. And now it's the equivalent volume of a 5,000 square foot house.
And it's orbiting around the Earth.
Mm-hmm.
I have here that it's going around the Earth once every 90 minutes.
That's right.
Once every hour and a half, you're going all the way around
Right.
the Earth.
16 times a day.
16 times a day. Think about this. I mean, from a television and media production perspective in Hollywood, we're very concerned about lighting. Right now, we have lights set in the right places. Shadows need to be in the right places. You have been able to see different parts of the Earth in relation to the light of the sun, so that you can see places during the night, during the day, and during different seasons.
That's right.
So you've been in India in the middle of the night in the winter, as well as been able to see India during the day in the middle of the summer.
Yes, exactly. And not only that, but we're inclined to the equator, 51.6 degrees. So that means we see the entire Earth over that period of weeks and months, except for the polar regions.
Wow.
So it's a great vantage point to study the Earth.
What does a sunrise and a sunset look like from outer space?
Spectacular. I mean, it's just...
Does it look like this?
It does. In fact, that's a photograph that I took. And right there in the center, you can't
Wait,
pick
you
it out.
took this picture?
I took that picture, and that's the Florida Peninsula. We're looking north, right there in the center.
Wow.
And a little bit off to the right, you see some turquoise blue. That's the coral reefs of the Bahamas.
Well, what are some of your favorite views from the space station? We think of views from an airplane window, and that's pretty cool, flying over the Grand Canyon. But what do you think of from space?
Oh, I think of lots of things. The weather patterns, the sunrises and sunsets, we've already talked about. The aurora is incredible.
Explain that to us.
The northern lights or southern lights, what we can see if we go to northern latitudes in the winter times and occasionally see them. They're very dynamic and very brilliant from orbit. We don't see them every orbit, but occasionally we will see them.
What causes the aurora lights?
Well, it's the intersection of the sun's energy with the magnetic field around the Earth, and it's an ionization of particles. Incredibly beautiful, in greens and whites and in red spikes that go deep out into space.
Go deep out into space,
Yeah,
and you're
way
seeing
from
this
the Earth.
from outer space.
Yes.
Wow. Talk about what does the coral reefs and the Grand Canyon look like from outer space?
Incredible. There's an incredible pattern of color and beauty. It invokes beauty. It invokes wonder. And of course, we know when we think of wonder, it demands the Creator as its explanation.
I'm even told, Jeffrey, that you sounded the alarm about a natural, not a natural disaster. It didn't look like a disaster from where you were. It looked like a work of art, but an erupting volcano in
That's
the
right.
Aleutian Islands that nobody knew was going on.
Right. And it wasn't a disaster because nobody lives there.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it was a morning in May of 2006. I was just took a break. I went back to spend some time with Pavel, my Russian crewmate. And after the break, I passed over the window, saw that we were passing over the Aleutian Islands, grabbed my camera, started taking pictures of one island, then the next island, next island. Something in the back of my head said, that last one didn't look right. I went back and reframed it. It was an erupting volcano. You could see the entire plume in the view.
Now, I also understand that you've been part of spacewalks as well. Talk about what is that like, getting out of the relative safety and protection of the space station, and now you're walking. Where did you walk, by the way?
It was the highlight of the experience, and we don't literally walk. We climb over hand on the outside of the space station.
Okay.
To put the space station together, it required many spacewalks and continues to require spacewalks, occasionally just maintaining the space station. Once we brought a component up there, for example, on the space shuttle, we attached it with a robotic arm initially, but then we had to go outside and connect up power lines and data lines and fluid lines and do other work out there to complete the assembly. So in my career, I did 5 spacewalks. The hardest thing by far we do physically and mentally is it's a mental focus for almost 7 hours each time. That's the planned length, duration of a spacewalk. So it's a big day in the life of an astronaut in orbit.
Do you have a sensation of I'm high up in the air? Like if you had a fear of heights, would you experience that there? It's like, no, the context is so different than standing on the top of a building that it doesn't feel like that.
If you have a fear of heights, you're probably in the wrong place.
You're in the wrong business.
I remember going out the door one time in the middle of the night pass, and it was like just black as black. And going out the door, really, and all you could see was what the helmet lights were illuminating with structure around you, and beyond that was black. You couldn't see stars because of the reflection of the helmet lights off the structure. And it was like an abyss.
Like an abyss.
Yeah. So if you have a fear of things like that, you're probably in the wrong business.
Okay, a few things. April Merch, that's a good comment or question, said, what is the real cause of the northern lights? Something I wrote down just while we were watching here is I'm actually making a list of some scriptures we're going to look up, some of the topics that they're mentioning. The first one is the roar of the engines that Kirk Cameron was asking him about, like on the launch. And we're going to look at Enoch 57 and see if we can't see the roar of those engines in that scripture.
Right.
And the Northern Lights, we get a description of the Northern Lights, or maybe even the North Star, the specific colors of it, from John, when he was in that vision in Revelation, and he said a door opened in the heaven, and a voice called to him and said, "Come up here." And then suddenly he was in heaven, and he described what he saw there. Very interesting, because it very much sounds like the Northern Lights, and it sounds like the North Star Polaris, the colors of
What
it.
chapter is that in, Joe?
Revelation 4.
4. Got you.
So, so if there's any things that you guys notice in that they say that reminds you of a scripture that might be good to read, put it in the chat and we'll read it or whatever. So here we go, back to the video. This abyss he's talking about. I also want to mention that in Revelation, John sees a beast coming up out of the bottomless pit, and he also calls it the sea. This bottomless pit, he calls it the sea because he saw that same beast rising up out of the sea. So I think that's actually talking about the waters above.
I do
So
too.
so can we at least say that it's a legitimate comparison to talk about the waters above being like dark waters and thick clouds of the skies, like in Psalms, and he made darkness his secret place. His pavilion round about him were dark waters and thick clouds of the sky. This place of darkness definitely exists. Okay,
Yeah.
and I would say that if we would compare some of these concepts with what an astronaut his job is, or whatever, his job is to go into that darkness. And so I think it's a legitimate thing to say that when John saw a beast rising up out of the sea or coming up out of the bottomless pit, could it be compared with Jeffrey Williams' career building this space station in that abyss? And isn't it also interesting that if they don't talk about it in this interview, but well, he might mention it a little bit, but zero G, when you're in the space station, you're floating because supposedly you're going around a globe and you're falling around the curvature of the globe, right? I would suggest that it's a trick and that anything in that place of darkness perpetually falls.
Was it saying? I think it might be Psalms. Something about it's talking about that abyss, and if you throw a rock, it would take 20 years for it to hit the bottom, or something like that.
Oh, that was in that was in like an
Was it in the
apocrypha book, I think.
Was it in the apocryphy?
But we just read it like maybe a couple weeks ago or something. I can't remember which one was it. Maybe it wasn't the Wisdom of Solomon, was it?
No, I think
Okay.
it might be the Apocalypse of Paul. It might be.
Oh, wait. Was it the second revelation of St. John?
I can't remember.
It could be. It could be their second, because we read that on the stream and I remember reading it. So
It
I
just
think
makes me
it's in
think
the
of that.
second. I think it's in this. Yeah. Well, it's so weird because I think it's in the second revelation of St. John. He says, like the angel, like they were talking about the abyss, and the angel he said to whoever was it, John, I think, behold, or hear, righteous John, right? That's what he says through the whole thing. Hear, righteous John. But he says that if someone were to throw something into that abyss, that it would fall for 20 years before it got to the bottom. How long has the space station been up there? 22 years.
I was just fixing to say that.
22 years, guys. So when I mentioned taking this, like, we're gonna crack jokes and stuff, but at the same time, it's something like if I was to ask Kirk Cameron, because I know he's a strong believer, okay? But what does it mean to be a believer? How do we have connection with Jesus? We pray and we see his creation, and there's one main way that we can know Jesus. If you were gonna want to know Jesus, where would you go? How would you attempt it? You'd
His
go
word.
to the Word of God. You'd want to listen to what he said. You'd
That's right.
and all of a sudden you'd get to know what he said, and it has a way. It's a supernatural thing of understanding that you get in his simple parables and things. That they really present comparisons to things in your life that at the time you're living in. It's always supernatural. It's supernatural. Anyway, should we just play this? I feel like we're not even halfway through it, but we are almost halfway through it.
I'd finish it up.
Yeah. Towards the end, it gets pretty crazy. Kirk,
For sure.
he says wow a lot, and he's just making a good interview and stuff. That's great. I got nothing against it. Actually, I'm all for it because it gives us the opportunity to hopefully open open people's understanding a little bit to something maybe they haven't really thought of before, and it's something I think is crucial. Nobody wants to be in an abyss falling forever, you guys.
How has your time in space affected you as a believer, your faith in God?
I sometimes get asked the question, did it change my relationship with God? And the answer is no. But it deepened what I know of God and appreciate his works in a profound way, because we can only know him through his special revelation, through the Word, through the revelation of Jesus Christ.
I'm seeing in the chat that we were gone for a couple of minutes. I hope we're back. Joe Nugent says they're back. Sorry guys, I don't know where we left off. Sorry about that. I didn't see anything going wrong on my end, but
I didn't see nothing either. I got a message from Alicia saying something happened.
Okay. Well, thanks for the heads up, guys, and hopefully my computer didn't go down, so hopefully maybe it'll record it. But anyway, if it didn't get on there, or if you guys didn't hear it probably doesn't matter. We'll start from right where we're at here.
We can only know of him with that experience, and many, of course, maybe would admit that or whatnot, but we can only know him through Jesus Christ and the work of the Spirit in our heart to open our eyes. But I haven't had the experience, and I went there as a believer, and I spent a lot of time trying to study the experience, using the experience to illuminate, to illustrate what the Word says about his works of creation, provisioning his creation in unique ways, and then us bearing the image of God. What are the implications of all that from that experience? Because one common question I get is, in extension to that, is how can you be in that business of science and be a believer? I knew going into this job that I would have to address those questions, because it's obvious. The general public believes inherently there's a conflict, that science is all about evolution, all about naturalism, all about humanism, and faith, of course, is separate. And it's largely been pushed out of the public square, as we know, historically, even over decades or over 100 years. So I spent a lot of time trying to study all of the elements of that, all of the aspects of that question, for obvious reasons, because I wanted to be able to answer the question. And the truth is that science, true science, actually grew out of a biblical understanding, a biblical worldview. And it was what I call the most successful, impactful propaganda campaign in history that started in the 1800s, really took root in the 1800s and then proceeded through the 1900s, that produced this perception that there's a conflict. But there's no conflict, absolutely no conflict. We all learned about what historians call the age of science, or the scientific revolution. And we read about them in textbooks. People like Kepler, and Isaac Newton, and Boyle, and Pasteur, and Maxwell. They all have laws of nature named after them, or mathematical equations. What people don't know, what the textbooks don't write about, is that they were all theologians first. They were all convicted by the Scripture and driven by the Scripture in their calling as scientists. It's really a major component of subduing the earth. And they recognized and assumed a rationality in God's created order, that there was an ordering of things. And the illustrations of that are obvious. Mathematics. There's a mathematical order. We launch a space shuttle producing 17.5 million pounds of thrust at just a precise...
Awakening the Light says we're gone again. I wonder what's going on.
That's crazy, because it's showing live an hour and 14 minutes straight on my end.
Yep, mine, and it hasn't stopped counting. I unless I wasn't paying attention, but there's nothing we can do about it. You know, usually, even when
I'm going on my other phone to check the YouTube right now.
Okay, cool. And here's one other thing, that sometimes when it goes bad during a recording, like during a live like this, some of it's recovered or something sometimes, because I've noticed that I've like, you know what I'm saying, just from doing live streams before, it seems like if I listen to it later on, some of it's cleared up, or it sounds not so skippy or whatever, you know.
Oh, look at that. There's a Starlink fixing the launch.
Yeah, today, right now, right?
9 o'clock.
Did you see that they fired up Booster 9 today?
Yeah.
And
I see.
they got that new deluge system.
I don't even see the.
I'm gonna
I
look
don't
on
even
my
see-
phone.
Okay, there it is. Live. Let's see.
Let's see what mine says. I have to go to a different account on my phone so I can. How do I find it though? Oh, library. Oh, live. Let's see.
It's got it paused right where you're at.
Yeah, I can. It's working on my phone, I guess.
Yeah.
Well, I hope it's. I hope it keeps going. I
It
guess
should-
we can't really do anything about it. Thanks for letting us know, though, you guys.
It'll play through, hopefully.
Hopefully. And I think like with how much I lollygag on and on and on. No, I'm just kidding. It'll skip out and in, but they'll get the whole thing anyway, right? I'm just kidding.
Don't tell the Hebrew roots moving people. I'm cooking.
Oh,
bacon.
wait a minute. What does it say? Why did it read suspended for violating policy? Are you joking or are you serious, Joe?
What's that?
Joe Nugent says, I'll put it up there. He says, why did it read suspended for violating policy?
It's
Mine didn't.
playing.
Mine didn't. Here, let me do this. Yeah, I'm watching mine. It's just got a short delay, so it's working. On my end anyway. So we'll keep going. So that's weird, Joe. Maybe pop out or refresh or whatever you gotta do and see if you get it again. I'm just curious. But we'll let this play a little bit longer, and then we'll go from there. Weird. Joe Nugent says bold letters center of screen. It said that. Interesting.
It doesn't say that on my end.
Well, I do have a strike on my channel or whatever.
Oh
Just
God.
remember last week it was while we were live streaming I got it.
Yeah.
And so like I don't think that I don't think there's any like basically I just got a strike and they removed a video. And then I think that's about it. Because it says it's like 83 days till it expires or something like that. Then I also have a warning
Oh God.
for
I hope I don't lose effed up world. That's gonna suck.
well, you know what? You're gonna have to get over to TikTok then. No, I'm just kidding.
I'm already
Hey,
over there.
I'll say this. I like obviously for many years I've just been doing this channel,
Hammering
making
it,
videos.
yeah.
Well,
Sure.
here's the thing. It's actually kind of amazing that my channel it was deleted one time by YouTube.
I remember that day.
And it was so ridiculous. It was a drone video of me and my dog in the backyard with no audio.
Yep.
And my dog was like chasing after some geese. Yep. They deleted my channel because of that video broke their rules of whatever, you know? And so we got it sorted out, but it took a couple days. And
The video you're playing right now, Joe, that's off the, let's just say the preacher guy's channel, or the
yes.
And does it have copyright on it?
We are commenting on it. We're not replaying it or something. Like we're not we have commentary going because we're commenting on what they're
Okay, that's how it works. I got
and so here's the thing though, is that like if I tried to do this with a Joe Rogan video, I think my stream might get taken down. So there's always the chance that what Joe Nugent was saying happened, or it could happen at any time. I mean, sometimes it knocks you off, and then if you change, shut that off or go to a different screen or something, then it'll put you back on.
Gotcha.
It's happened a few times. to me. I think it happened to West Blaze and on Uncommon Ground a couple times maybe. And they just kind of pop back in when it lets them, and hopefully people are still there. But thanks, Joe Nugent. That's interesting. You can email it to me if you want.
For sure.
fedupworld@gmail.com. That'd be cool. So hopefully we're back on. Everything's going, and yeah, there's probably like, let's see, we're at 14 minutes, and this video is, I don't know how long. It doesn't say.
I think the end is like, to me, would be the most important.
Yeah, and we're past halfway, so I'm just gonna let it play. We're only probably I don't know, 7 minutes or something left.
This moment, liftoff, pointed in the precise direction. Fire the engines for a precise length of time, and get to that orbit of 17,500 miles an hour with an inclination from the equator of 51.6 degrees. And then less than 2 days later, about 46 hours later, we dock with the space station going that same speed at 0.1 feet per second, plus or minus an inch, all because of the mathematical order in God's creation. Another example, physics, chemistry, the periodic table, optics, the precision of optics, with lenses, microscopes and telescopes. All of that gives evidence of the order that they were convicted of and that I'm convicted of in God's creation. And bearing the image of God and the calling of God to subdue it, that motivated them in their calling as scientists. Not only did they presume the order, but they presumed the order was precise. And I contend, there's an infinite precision in God's ordering, and we're only limited by our ability to measure it. And then the third assumption that they had was that the creation was contingent. In other words, it wasn't obvious to us. It needed to be explored. The order had to be discovered through experimentation, through observation, through an hypothesis, do an experiment, did it prove or disprove the hypothesis, and then build on that. And that is science. In other words, it's there to be discovered. It's not written on the outside.
Okay, so I guess apparently my phone just says stream unavailable. So it is because we're playing this that we're getting booted. So let's go to the end, and let's see if we can. Let's see if I can change it.
That's crazy.
It's just I'm gonna refresh my screen and see if I'm back up, because I think that's all it is. It, like, their algorithm or whatever, I'm guessing, picked up the. That ain't gonna work either. Well, maybe that'll work. You think?
What's that?
What's on your screen right now? Let's see. I'm gonna click on the video and oh no, it's still unavailable on there. Was it give us a 2 minute? Do I have to? Let me remove the video. Let me put Tommy Skyview up there instead.
There you go.
There.
I'll definitely get a strike.
Okay, guys. So what we can do though is I could just play. You guys don't need to see them dudes sitting there. I can play the audio on my phone, and that we might just do that. How's that? Thank you, Joe Nugent. My phone said the same thing, so I'm gonna refresh right now and see if we're back up or not back up.
That's terrible. What happened to freedom of speech?
But it says it's suspended, so that let's see. Let's put a Joe Hill video up, an Effed Up World video up, and here's the video. We'll watch the video of Daniel 7 verse 4 because it's relevant to what we were talking about. These four beasts seem to be like the building of the space station. If you read through Daniel 7 verses 4 through 7, it's like quite descriptive. Let me find where's these videos are. I play this video a lot, I guess, because it's very simple. It's like, I just gotta find it, guys. Sorry.
Or how about in Second Esdras where they had their own star? There you go.
Yeah, where there's a great tempest caused by it. Yeah.
It's everywhere, y'all. I haven't found a book yet that doesn't talk something about this.
Yep.
For sure.
It's like coded into
exactly
into time, because 100 years ago, someone would read it, and I mean, they'd be able to understand the same way we would, but these things didn't exist. Now they exist. So all of a sudden, we find ourselves saying, how did a prophet in the Bible describe, like, really, in a very, I'll just say, the only word I have to describe it is a supernatural way.
It's
I mean,
true.
put yourself back, however long ago the prophet Daniel was alive. Okay, Daniel, that was a long time. The lion's den, and okay, that Daniel, that was a long time ago.
Right.
So just imagine how they would speak and how they would describe things with what we know of the time that they lived in. Okay, it's very simple. Ready? Here we go.
Babylon, Daniel had a dream and visions of his head upon his bed. Then he wrote the dream and told the sum of the matters. Daniel spake and said, I saw in my vision by night, and behold, the four winds of the heavens strove upon the great sea. And four great beasts came up from the sea, diverse one from another. The first was like a lion, and had eagle's wings. I beheld till the wings thereof were plucked. And it was lifted up from the earth, and made stand upon the feet as a man, and a man's heart was given to it. I saw in my vision by night, and behold, the four winds of the heavens strove upon the great sea. And four great beasts came up from the sea, diverse one from another. The first was like a lion, and had eagle's wings. I beheld till the wings thereof were plucked. And it was lifted up from the earth, and made stand upon the feet as a man, and a man's heart was given to it.
Okay, so there's that. I mean, when it says his wings were plucked, like that shuttle, it's the only space vehicle that has wings, or had wings, I mean, and they were plucked. Like, it was retired. Like, that's even how, like, the military would say, oh, they took his wings away, right? Or he, I don't know. There's probably phrases that are like
Got
that.
grounded. It got grounded.
Yeah, he was grounded, and they probably have similar ones like for truckers, you know, like if a trucker retired or whatever. There's little sayings, but you know what I'm saying. Its wings were plucked. Daniel, the prophet, saw this in a vision.
For truckers, it's called "You Died."
Yeah, so I think what we can do is I can just go on my phone. Because I think now that they're onto us or whatever, the algorithm or whatever, however it is, I'm just saying, like, I think I can play the audio of it on my phone or something, and nobody needs to see. Let me get something else on the screen though. Let me get a video, and I'll line this up while the video's playing on here. Whoop, present video file. So I wanted to play the video of, where Enoch, he talks about these men riding in these chariots, and they were super loud. And they were loud enough that they actually shook the foundations of the earth out of their place. It was sound, and it shook the whole heavens and everything. So, I mean, Kirk Cameron's saying, what was it like hearing the roar of those rockets or whatever? Enoch talks about what seems to be a spacecraft, maybe even the shuttle. I don't know. I'm trying to find the video again, guys. Sorry for my not being organized, but man, there's a lot.
Let me read another one too in the Old Testament in case people would.
Yeah,
because
go for it.
I get a lot of people that talk about John 10:1, and they're like, "No, that's."
Where's the sheepfold?
Yeah.
Where's the sheepfold?
The sheepfold.
Yeah. If you're gonna climb up some other way into the sheepfold, where are you trying to climb up?
That's heaven.
Jesus is a shepherd,
Yeah.
and he's also the lamb. What I'm saying, he's the Lamb of God. Think about it, right?
He's the shepherd. Yep.
So his sheepfold is New Jerusalem, guys. His
There you
sheepfold
go.
is his kingdom. It's not of this world. It comes down out of heaven from God. That was one of the things that I was thinking about. That I guess we're just kind of changing the direction of this a little bit. Sorry, guys, but I think.
Yeah, we don't want to have a problem with your channel for sure.
Well, yeah, exactly, and I don't think that would get me a strike or anything, but it sure would get the stream just shut down if we didn't get it off of there quick. So that's okay. I mean, it's not like Kirk Cameron did it or something like that. It is nothing like that. It's just
You put the
it's YouTube noticing that we're playing a video basically, and I don't know exactly the proper way to do that.
you put the link in there, right?
Yeah, I put the link in the description.
I would suggest to people that want to see the whole thing, just watch it. It's only like 30 minutes.
we were more than halfway through, and if you go to, the last 10 minutes it's kind of crazy the stuff they're saying. Kirk Cameron is literally saying to him basically, now that you've been in the heavens, what's your perspective on life? And he's to me, that's just not a good way to look at it, because that's not the God of the Bible's. That's not what he would allow, or that's not at all what he. It's actually something. It's a transgression.
Exactly what it is, Joe. A transgression.
It's a transgression, and it's also an abomination to God's perfect sanctuary, his temple. The clock of our sky.
I think it's a transgression against your soul.
Yes, Enoch talks about that in Enoch 67. It's like it's talking about the lust of their bodies, and to me, I take that to be like their health. I think
What
that.
do they?
Oh, go
What
ahead.
do they do on the ISS, Joe? They
a
study
lot of
drugs.
what they do is make drugs, and that's obviously a subject like we're not going to detail out any of that,
Right.
like as far as like who makes them and all that kind of stuff. But when me and Thomas were talking, maybe on one of these lives that we did, Thomas mentioned one of the specific ones that they kind of developed up there, and it made me think, and I was like, whoa. I mean, when we have like autism a lot, and just the numbers seem to be like really bad, how things have changed, and it's really coincidental.
Yeah,
if you ask me.
It seems like since the days of Apollo, the Saturn V days,
Yes,
things have, like disease and all kinds of problems with the human body
cancer,
just went downhill, bro. Straight downhill.
cancer, and then at the same time, we've gained a lot of technology in the medical industry and in like the pharmacia, drugs, that kind of stuff. Like I mean, I was in the hospital a couple times, and I mean the one time I was in there a week, and I was in rough shape, and they gave me, can't remember what it was. Like
Was you in there? Was you in
Yeah.
there for your teeth? Was you in there for your teeth, Joe?
No, I was in there
okay.
for I took amoxicillin, which
Oh,
is
you were allergic, that's right.
it's really common. Like nobody really has any issue with that. It's a what do they call it? Antibiotic. But for me, it didn't work, and I took it for like 5 days, and it was just an awful experience. But I don't remember why I was talking about that. Why would I bring that up?
Wow, listen to this one, Joe, in Obadiah. It just like popped up right there in front of me.
Read it.
It's in Obadiah 1 because I left it there. We were reading that. It's in verse 21. it says, and saviors shall come up on Mount Zion to judge the Mount of Esau, and the kingdom shall be the Lord's. Wow.
Wow.
I never read that.
That's the holy mountain, man.
That's
That's
it.
the holy mountain. So we have to keep in mind what Lucifer did say about God's holy mountain. He said he's going to set his congregation there. And that was right after he said he was going to ascend into heaven and he was going to ascend above the heights of the clouds. I mean, these words have meanings.
Yeah. Listen to this one on 16, same chapter, chapter 1. For as ye have drunk upon my holy mountain, so shall all the heathen drink continually. Yea, they shall drink, and they shall swallow down, and they shall be as though they had not been. Wow.
Yeah, so think about that, guys. Like the idea of an astronaut being like I'm not a person that can say this or that. It's just I'm just sharing what comes across in my mind when I'm hearing these things. Like Thomas said, I'm going to repeat what Tommy said. This concept of heaven and earth and God's throne and his tabernacle, New Jerusalem, the kingdom, the one that's not of this world, the one that Jesus said, he said, in my Father's house are many mansions. That kingdom is up where this astronaut is taking pictures. I don't see that to be anything that a person that believes the Bible could bring themselves to take part in at this point in time. So what I'm saying is, like, we were talking about repentance. What if Jeffrey Williams, in some hypothetical situation, what if he did see this or this idea came across him? He's like, whoa. And then he thinks back to all the time he spent there and stuff. And he's like, I can't believe that I see it this way after doing all that. If that happened to him, that would be like one of the strongest testimonies in the world, right?
Right.
So, but I see this conflict of in God's word. If that's the whole thing that we're talking about believing in, right? Is the word of God the sword of the Spirit, right?
That's right.
I got that sword like over these last however many years. It's just become something that I understand a lot of these things, not because of me, but just because I read them. And again, people probably make jokes about me because I always say it's supernatural. I have no other word or even way to describe when you get understanding about something and you've read it before or you've heard it before or whatever. And then suddenly one day, Thomas, can you give, I was going to ask you, maybe a week ago, you sent me a JPEG, a picture, and it was, I'm going to go to my phone. I want you to talk about this because, like I was just explaining, suddenly something comes to you and you understand it in a way that you know is right, you know it's true, and you never thought of it like that before. And you're like, how could I read it and know the concept my whole life? And now I look at it and go, the main thing about it is the only thing I missed. Like the entire thing is what I missed, even though I knew it my whole life. Let me read the verse that I gotta scroll way up, I think. Here. Okay. We got,
What was it, a Bible verse?
I got it right here, man. He sent me a bunch of emojis, right? Of rockets and satellites. And then there's a clock and fire and pointing up, right? Those are the emojis. And here's the verse that he sent me. Take these things away. Do not make my Father's house a house of merchandise. We all know the story, right? When
Right.
Jesus went into the temple, he like made a whip, went in the temple and started turning tables, right? Get this out of here. Get out of here. Don't do this to my Father's house. I never ever considered, because I believe that his Father's house is that same kingdom we're talking about. It's
In heaven.
it's his holy city. It's
Yep.
We even have descriptions of it in the book of Revelation. Visual descriptions of it. John saw it. So keeping that in mind, that city is very real. And I'm not saying that Jeffrey Williams should be able to see that city from the space station. I think that that city is across from paradise.
There you
Okay?
go.
I don't see paradise, but I do see the kingdom of God. And what I'm saying is, I don't know specifically where paradise is. I guess it's in the third heaven if you read what Paul wrote. I think it's in the third heaven.
It's in
And
the
so,
firmament.
yeah, what does that look like? Where's the third heaven? I'm not sure. I kind of tend to believe, in a way, how Uncommon Ground, how Wes and Sean, they kind of refer to as 7 firmaments. And I think there's truth in that. I don't think that they might be like physical glass or something like we have descriptions for on Earth. Us men on Earth have descriptions for what the firmament would be, but I don't think we have an example of what it is on the Earth here. I think it's the end of heaven and earth. It's a place of darkness, and God put all these stars, sun and moon there, doing these dances that literally are better than a Rolex watch, right, for keeping time, because it dictates time. The sky does. So when God, in 2nd Ezra chapter 15, God said, "Do not defile my sanctuary." In Ezekiel, Ezekiel 7, he shows them these abominations that are being put in the midst of Jerusalem. And he even, in the next chapter, in chapter 8, he even lifts Ezekiel up by his hair into Jerusalem, into the visions of God. And where did he go? Where did it describes exactly where he went? Between the heaven and the earth.
That's right.
He went, the angel or the spirit or whatever, grabbed him by the hair and took him up into the sky and into a vision of God in Jerusalem. So it's a vision.
It said it said it right here, visions of God to Jerusalem, to the door of the inner gate that looketh toward the north.
Yep.
Where
That's-
was the seat of the image of jealousy?
Yep.
Yep.
In Revelation 4, he says he saw someone when he went up through that door in heaven, and let me go there, because he says something about going into the spirit, I believe. Or you know what? I'm just going to read it in my Bible here. Sorry. My cat was sitting on the Bible for a while.
It says in verse 4 here, Joe, this is a good one here. It says, "And behold, the glory of God," remember what the glory is,
Yep.
"of Israel was there according to the vision that I saw in the plain."
Not on the globe?
Flat
In the
earth.
plane. Okay. So Revelation 4 says, "After this I looked, and behold, a door was opened in heaven. And the first voice which I heard was, if it were a trumpet, or as it were a trumpet, talking with me, which said, Come up hither. So he told him to come up hither, and I will show thee things which must be hereafter. So he basically says, come up here, I'm going to show you the future. And immediately I was in the Spirit, and behold, a throne was set in heaven, and one sat on the throne. And he that sat was to look upon like a jasper and a sardine stone, and there was a rainbow round about the throne, in sight like unto an emerald. So there's three specific colors: jasper, sardine stone, and emerald. And if you look at the North Star, those are the exact colors of the North Star. And the North Star is the closest bright star in the northern part of the sky, that all the other stars basically circle this. and they're all fixed all the way to the end of the earth in the south. And I don't expect me to understand the heavens, because I don't. I understand what they do, the directions they move, and how they all move together, and that there's 7 planets that don't do this. But I don't know what it all is, so that's why I really like reading these. So yeah, the Northern Lights and stuff, I think that has a lot to do with God's throne, because those same colors are described by John 2,000 years ago. I don't even think he had a telescope. So I always say that. Did John have a telescope or something? How did he know the colors of the North Star?
Exactly.
Yep. All right. So Enoch is a witness, Thomas. He's a witness. So Kirk Cameron was talking about the roar of these loud rockets, because it's like one of the loudest sounds it is one of the loudest sounds that men have ever created. It just is. Like, I don't remember the decibels and everything. You could look it up, but just look up loudest sounds, and it'll be there somewhere. Rockets, or the shuttle actually will be one of their, and actually the Saturn V might even be the loudest. But now, I think they're gonna beat that up pretty bad with the Starship there.
Oh, let me tell you what happened.
Okay.
Let me tell you what happened to me the other morning, Joe.
All right.
I wake up and NASA, I just checked my YouTube because I'm always checking to see if Tony's live or whatever. And it was the NASA lady. They were doing the water, or they were doing the pressure test for the fuel or something on that Starship. And
Yeah,
she said,
"Oh, go ahead."
She said, it might be 4 to 5 years before this thing is flying like regularly on a daily or every week, like with people.
Oh yeah,
on it.
at least.
And
It would be like 10 years or something.
Well, my heart, like,
Sunk.
yeah.
You're like,
And
that ain't the way to look at it, man.
Well,
It
took me a couple hours, and I was driving, and I was like, was that God telling me, like, that feeling like maybe it's going to be a little bit longer than we think? Maybe.
Well, yeah, I mean, who knows? Who knows?
I know.
I think, here's what I do think. Signs in the heavens. I don't even have to say more than that. The book of Revelation talks about signs in the heavens.
Yeah.
Talks about signs made of the stars, made of the constellations. Describes them. All of a sudden, we're 2017, 2016 probably, or even earlier. People started saying, hey, you know what? Or it was probably someone specific, one person probably. They started telling people to look at what the stars were doing coming up in the next year or whatever. And they found this day of September 23rd that was
2017. Yep.
Yeah, 2017, and it was specifically lining up with Revelation 12 verses 1 and 2 in a crazy way, you guys.
Yeah, you ain't lying.
And people even were saying that this pattern of the stars, the lineup of the stars, that it only happens once, or I've heard it happens once in 7,000 years or something like that. Who knows? But the world was actually aware of this at that time, if you remember. I don't know if you remember. It wasn't just the Christians, and it wasn't. I mean, if you go to Wikipedia right now and just type in some of these key phrases, you can look back and see, like, if you type in the Revelation 12 sign, you're gonna get directed to 2017, September 23rd. No matter what search engine you use, you know what I'm saying. It's not It's not because we want it to be true or something. Because people think that it's like, well, you want it to be true, so you're going to say that. But there's too many of these things to ignore. Especially like when we're talking, like Jeffrey Williams, an astronaut. Ah, man, if he's an actual person that loves Jesus, he's awfully close to playing out Satan's desires or Lucifer's desires that are the prophet Isaiah talked about, and then Isaiah did also prophesy that he said, but Lucifer will be brought down to hell, to the sides of the pit. This astronaut claims to go in 0G because he's perpetually falling in this place of darkness. It almost sounds like it just matches up with this concept matches up with what low Earth orbit is, even.
Right.
And I just, is it important that we point out to like, even to ourselves, to remember, we all want to know the truth about everything. We want to know if someone's like, like people talk about all the conspiracies and things, and people would be like, if they were all exposed and you could know all the information, you'd want to, right? You'd want to know why this happened, or why this was this way, or like the COVID thing, why did that happen that way, and what caused it, all this kind of stuff.
Me and Alicia was just talking about that today.
But we don't have to know really hardly any details. If we see something, and if we can define that anything's wrong, like shady or sketchy, or that there's just something not right about it, get away from it.
Amen.
Because why not go with pure truth? Go with truth. Is the earth stationary? The earth that you live on, the real one that you live on, is it moving? Has it ever been rotating? I'm saying from your point of view. It only rotates as a concept of a cosmology idea, like a model of something. But if you look at it, how like Enoch 93 maybe, it says something like, does any man know the height of the heaven? Is it given to men to know the height or the width of the earth and what's beneath it? And then basically, and then it actually doesn't it talk about these things, this doctrine of this creation being revealed at the end of the end to this plant of righteousness, it says. So they're going to learn, it's going to be taught to them the secrets of the creation, of God's entire creation. That's what it says. So like when we're learning these kind of things that like seem to be like wildly crazy to some people, but to some of us it's like it answers something, and it doesn't always come like we want it to be that way. Like, think about what happens to a person if you could just do this. If you don't think that it's a kind of a crazy thing to say some of the things that we say, why don't you go tell your family that the earth is flat and that the globe is a lie, because you researched it, you looked into these things, and you looked at what we're doing with optics these days, and we're crushing. What does Austin Whitsitt say, bro? He says, I dunk on you. That's what he says. Like in a debate, he dunks on people. And he really does.
He does, yeah.
Meticulously. And then really all they ever say is, that's word salad. Like they couldn't quite have the patience to listen to what he was saying. It's kind of crazy because I learn a lot from that guy.
Oh, awesome. He's awesome. Yeah.
Yeah.
Both
and he's so polite and he's funny. I'm just saying, like, he is one of the best debaters on the internet.
For sure.
Like, even it could be said he probably is. And he can debate many topics too. I mean, he's been on Modern Day Debate quite a few times, and I hope he continues to do that, because there's a dead end for a lot of people that are believing lies right now. Like I say, is the earth stationary? It is, guys.
For sure.
If your feet are touching it right now, That's the evidence that it's stationary, it's solid beneath you. If it was rotating, great. But to us here, in reality, it's not rotating. The sky is, though. The stars are. That's how we tell time. So, anyway, it's real. It's real. There's truth in a lie, and run away from the lie. You don't have to know the details. Like I say, I don't know what's up with the astronauts. There's something that, I mean, Revelation 16, these 3 unclean spirits coming out of the mouth of the dragon. Well, our astronaut, Jeffrey Williams here, he never got the chance to ride on the dragon because I think he was kind of retired at right at the end, or right at the beginning of the crew launches, probably. Right. I don't think he's ever ridden on one, but his colleagues have ridden on the dragon many times now. The dragon, Jeffrey Williams.
Listen to this one in chapter.
Hold on. Let me say one thing about if you think about the dragon. We were just talking about 2017. You know, the wonder in heaven of a woman clothed with the sun. What did John say right after that? He said, "And behold, another wonder in heaven." So he's still looking up there. He's seeing something else up there, up where this woman was, of these stars on her head and the moon and the sun. The moon beneath her feet. So he's looking up there, and he sees a dragon, you guys. A dragon. Jeffrey. Yeah, so I want to make that point.
Right.
Are we seeing the scriptures coming to pass in a very strange way that none of us would ever have expected? Did John just see what we're seeing? Go ahead, Thomas.
Oh, this is in that Wisdom of Solomon. I was looking for that one that it talks about they're going to be shown salvation, and it's not going to be what they thought it was. They're going to be like, it's going to be strange to them.
Yes, it's strange. Strange. Yeah. I listened to that too. I don't know where it is in there.
This one right here says it's in chapter 16. But your children weren't overcome by the very fangs of the venomous dragons, for your mercy passed by where they were and healed them.
Dragons,
for they were bitten to put them in remembrance of your oracles, and were quickly saved, lest fallen into deep forgetfulness, they should become unable to respond to your kindness. Yeah.
So if there was a dragon, maybe it's made of metal, maybe it's made of like carbon fiber or whatever they use. I don't really know. Maybe it has a heat shield. Maybe it's built at SpaceX and it's fueled up at Pad 39A, that warehouse that says SpaceX on it.
Right.
They prep it, everything there. They put it on top of a Falcon 9 rocket. They put it up. They make it go vertical. They raise it up on one side, right? That's one thing Daniel described seeing this beast do too.
Exactly.
And then it's just like, arise and devour much flesh. And there was 3 ribs in the mouth of it, between the teeth of it. You ever seen astronauts on a rocket? I mean, I think specifically Daniel could have been just talking about the Russian Soyuz. 3 astronauts. And they pack these white bags like with water and stuff. They pack them right up around their heads, and it looks like they're like in the mouth of something. It's weird. But I'm going to play, just so we get a different screen.
This wisdom of Solomon, Joe, is beautiful. It's crazy.
Yeah, it's a good one.
Crazy. Yeah, listen to this.
Okay.
It's chapter 17 towards the end here. Or a harsh cracking of rocks hurled down, or the swift course of animals bounding along unseen, or the voice of wild beasts harshly roaring, or an echo rumbling.
Dude.
From the hollows of the mountains. All these things paralyzed them with terror.
Can you go back?
What's that?
It like jibbled out or whatever for a second. But did you say something about? Can you go back like just one sentence?
Yeah, it says the voice of wild beast harshly roaring, or an echo rebounding from the hollows of the mountains.
Okay, yeah, right there.
Yeah.
Echo from the hollows of the mountains.
Yep.
Okay,
The
we've all
seven
heard
mountains.
like a roar, like if you heard horses running, and it was like it'll like shake the ground if there was like horses running, or like if there was chariots and horses on the ground. I mean, it's like a rumble, or like even if a train goes by, it's like a rumble like that. That's what that sounds like. But then it's talking about we're not talking about on the ground.
Or my loaded semi coming by you. No, it's messing with you.
No, yeah, same thing. It shakes the ground and makes like a deep booming type of sound.
Hey, I'm grounded, Joe. I don't mess with that going up in the air. No.
I'm about there on the paramotor. I'm gonna get close there. We'll see.
I told Alicia you bought that thing. She's like, "What is he trying to do?"
It's kind of crazy, but
It is. Hey,
I've been
man,
putting
whatever.
I've been going in the evenings to this field and kind of just getting used to getting comfortable with all the controls and the throttle and everything, and it's tricky to get that thing.
Just make sure I get the copyright to effed up world.
Okay, it's on you, man. It's on you. When they find me crumpled up underneath the propeller,
You never know.
he fell out of the sky.
You might be like Enoch. You might go up there a little bit, and then God just takes you.
Well, I guess I wouldn't argue.
No.
I'd be like, "Oh, sweet, let's roll."
You ain't lying.
Okay, so the roaring of the heavens. That's what this video, which I want to at least start. This talks
play it,
like
man.
this has the shuttle in it. Like I put the shuttle in it, but listen to what it's saying. I think that these vehicles have a spiritual, an angelic aspect to them that we don't see, but just the technology and the capability and the claims of what they're able to do, right? Here we go.
The angels will gather together and will throw themselves towards the east. Upon the Parthians and Medes, they will stir up the kings so that a disturbing spirit will come upon them, and they will drive them from their thrones, and they will come out like lions from their lairs, and like hungry wolves in the middle of their flocks. And they will go up and trample on the land of my chosen ones. And the land of my chosen ones will become before them a tramping ground and a beaten track. And in those days Sheol will open its mouth, and they will sink into it and their destruction. Sheol will swallow up the sinners in front of the faces of the chosen. And it came to pass after this, that I saw another host of chariots with men riding on them. And they came upon the wind from the east and from the west to the south.
12, 11, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, start, 2, 1, booster ignition, and liftoff of the Space Shuttle Discovery, returning to the space station, paving the way for future missions beyond. Well, for that, I'll do it with
And the sound of the noise of their chariots was heard. And when this occurred, the holy ones observed it from heaven, and the pillars of the earth were shaken from their foundations, and the sound was heard from the ends of the earth to the ends of heaven throughout the day. And all will fall down and worship the Lord of spirits. And this is the end of the second parable.
Whoops, I gotta pause it there because the music, I think.
So the sinners will be swallowed up
Sink into
In
Sheol.
in front of the righteous.
Yep, in the face of the elect or whatever. You know what? What if that's us seeing these? Like we're talking about Jeffrey Williams.
Yep.
What if that is kind of like that? What if we're just watching this, going, Kirk Cameron and Jeffrey Williams? You guys, you know what you're involved in. You know what you're believing in, Kirk. Be very careful what you believe in.
Yeah.
That Do you believe in Acts when they witnessed Jesus ascending into the sky, and then the clouds removed him from their sight, and then those two men in white were? Do you believe that those two men were like, he's going to come back the same way, in the same manner that you've seen him go up? Do you believe that, Kirk? You're talking to a man basically praising this astronaut for going up, right?
Right.
Even though the Savior, the Messiah, says no man ascends into heaven. That's one of the reasons why this Jeffrey Williams is suspect in some way in my mind, as far as who would be, in Revelation 16, it says he saw these unclean spirits like frogs coming out of the mouth of the dragon. Now, I know that Jeffrey Williams has never come out of the mouth of the dragon, but other astronauts have since Jeffrey Williams retired, okay? And he's well aware of this. They're coming out of the mouth of the dragon. They're floating into the space station. They look just like frogs, like kind of floating there. I don't know if that's what it is, but what if it is? Because what does it say about those unclean spirits? It says they go forth to the kings of the earth, working miracles, and gather, what does it say? As many as the sand of the sea, to battle against the great God Almighty.
Armageddon.
This is why I have this conflict with what Jeffrey Williams does and then what comes out of his mouth. Because I gotta say, I love the words coming out of his mouth when he's talking about God's creation, how beautiful it is.
He even said that Jesus created it. I love that part.
Yeah, I noticed that too. He said Jesus created it. I love that. And he even brought up John 1 when he's saying the word. And that's when he said that it was credited to Jesus. And so I agree with so much that this astronaut says, but then I'm not going to say anything about him personally, but I'll say this. Like the concept I was saying before, I don't need to know every detail of this deception that I'm aware is happening. I don't know all the things that Satan does. I don't know how he does it all. But the prophets tell us about some of it, like him acting like being a dragon. That's something we can look out for. You know what I'm saying?
Be careful, people. There's a
pillar of smoke on your screen.
I know. I was thinking that, Joe, but the one Jesus said that I always think of when we're talking about this subject with people, astronauts, whatever, is. He said that there would be some that come to him on that day that praised his name, believed in him, called on his name, cast out devils, and he said, "Get away from me, workers of iniquity." I
never knew you.
That's right. That's scary.
Well, and that's the thing is how would we know? I'm just going to play something in the background.
What's the iniquity, Joe?
The iniquity. Man, we could probably describe it in a lot of different ways. I'm going to play this video in the background with no sound. It's kind of mostly imagery, but it's got kind of a timeline. And this was made like 5 years ago. So there's a timeline maybe 4 years ago or something.
Luke 3 says the ground will be made level.
Yep.
And the salvation of God will be revealed. That's why I was talking about that.
And all flesh shall see it together. It says, all flesh shall see his salvation.
That's why I was talking about that wisdom of Solomon, Joe, how it said that the salvation would be strange to the people. It would be something that they didn't think would be.
And look at where we are right now. We're talking about Earth being flat. Say that to yourself 10 years ago, would you?
No.
You'd be appalled. You'd be appalled.
I would have said, go NASA.
Yeah, you would have said, "Don't worry about it." You would have said, "I just looked through an observatory telescope at Kepler 327.
There you go,
imploding into a black hole in a galaxy and nebula." And
went into Uranus.
Yeah, and NASA reported it smelled just like what? A fart. You know it, because that's real too. That's actually true. I think there's a yeah. Uranus smells like that. Of course. Kind of like the globe image that came from NASA that says sex in the clouds, right?
Oh yeah.
Why? Oh, look there's a dragon up in the sky, you guys.
3 people coming out of it,
John didn't tell us what the dragon was made out of.
swimming around like frogs, aren't they?
Yep. So now look he's going into the dragon, but like they go in and out of it like frogs, you know?
And that thing holds 7 people. See
Yeah.
the
So
7 feet?
what if these people have went the way of the devil? Maybe even not aware of it. I have no idea. I
don't
wouldn't
think
want to
they even
accuse.
know.
I wouldn't want to accuse them of having evil intentions.
I don't
But at
think
the
they
same
do, Joe.
time, if their father is the devil, they're deceiving, and they might not know it. He's going to use them and destroy them. I don't see him sharing the truth with them. The devil.
No, he said he was gonna bring them down. Every time they go high, he's gonna bring them down. That's what he says.
No. I'm saying the devil will deceive the world, right? That's what it says
Oh,
in
yeah.
Revelation, the whole world.
The whole world. Yep.
And then I think the story, like the Lamb of God that was slain, he has a kingdom. He has a
Everlasting.
kingdom. Everlasting, yes. It's one that lasts forever, and its dominion is eternal.
What if?
So this dominion we're watching on your screen right here, this is a
you
dominion
go.
over the people in this world. I don't
There
think
you
anybody
go.
would argue with that. A lot of us say no. This is nothing. This is not even real. Okay. Well, we can say that even if you build a real capsule and you launch it up into the sky. What? Looking at this right here, what is this? It's a place of darkness, guys. It's a
Right.
kingdom of darkness, even. And what do they do there? They put abominations and detestable things in this place that's incorruptible. They're putting corruptible things. And we can look up at the sky, at the space station. There's apps to tell you when to look, where to look. You can see the stuff in the sky. Something's up there. Something's going on. There is like some sort of
Is that being cast
perpetual free fall. There is like a perpetual free fall. But I would actually argue that it's not a physical place like the earth. And so physics aren't going to, you don't apply your physics to the heavenly realm. This is what I would say. I would say, because I don't know any more than anybody else, but I would say that the heavenly realm is not understood by any man, but we seek to understand it. I think everybody seeks to understand what it is, but I don't think anybody actually understands it, because we are the way Jesus put it in the first book of Adam and Eve. He was going to come down, and just like us, he was going to be subject to the days and the months and the years and all of the things that any of us are subject to. He was going to become that same, in that same world, subject to time. So for however that happens, that was the first time that happened, I think. So he experienced everything that we do. And now we're in a time where men think that it's their real estate. They do basically act out what Lucifer, all those millenniums ago or whatever, when Isaiah was writing these down. They're mimicking these things in the sky now. War in heaven, you guys. There's angels up there. There's order up there. And it, like I was saying, you look up in the sky and you see all this garbage up there now. I mean, we even have a term called space junk. And it's like, if you look it up on the internet, it's like, oh, it's going to be a problem. It's already a problem. There's so many items that are just there and not being used, and they're on a crashing orbit. Hey, look at that fire coming down from the sky, you guys.
That's terrible right there. That's crazy right there.
Don't ignore don't ignore the Son of God
Let me just tell you
And-
what I think there,
and his
Joe.
revelation. Go ahead.
I think the spirits are in the fire
They are the fire, yeah.
because think about this. Me and Alicia was talking about this yesterday. I think it was Jesus. He would give them holy water, and they would be anointed by the Holy Spirit, right?
Well,
Like-
I don't know if he would give him holy water. I don't know where that would, I don't know. Maybe it's that way, but I know like there was the blind man when he healed his blindness. He picked up some sand off the ground or something and like
Well, when you're-
spit in his hand and rubbed it in his eyes.
I'm just thinking of the elements, the water and the fire and the dirt. Like the
Yeah, because
spirit,
there's
like the
two kinds
spirit-
of water.
like
There's
the
the water
spirit,
of life, and I'm sorry, we got a time thing going, don't we?
probably.
Go
I'm
ahead,
just-
bro.
I'm just thinking of the elements, the water, the earth. Like he put the dirt and made the mud. Like
Yep.
the spirits are working through the elements. Like that's how they work.
Yes. As David Weiss would say, there's an element of possibility to the idea that the clouds, the themselves or whatever, are angelic in nature.
I wouldn't say no to that.
I wouldn't say no to it either.
What about airplanes then?
Airplanes,
Breaking
I
through
would
the
say, when that happens, that's in the earth. I would say, in my opinion,
Yeah,
it's
I'm
in
not
the
talking about
it's like in the heaven where the birds fly. To me, is where there's like air or winds of earth that carry the clouds and stuff. I think that's God would consider that to be earth. I think the heavens is where God said, "This is mine."
Yeah, I understand what you're saying. Now I'm just saying, like, if the clouds are angelic, what about the airplanes going through the clouds? Like, is that good?
Well, that's what I'm saying is I don't really know if it would be like something, because because God kind of gave men a certain kind of, like,
Yeah.
told us to use the herby or the seed yielding herbs for our meat or whatever, and so made a covenant with Noah, right?
Yep.
So we're at 2 hours and 17 minutes, and it's all chopped up apparently because my horrible
It's all
copyright.
good.
Yeah, who knows what happened? Hopefully they don't strike me again for that. That would be bad. But anyway,
We'll do better next week.
yeah. But there was one other thing I wanted you to go into. I don't care how long you spend talking about it, but that text that you sent me about God's when Jesus went into the temple, and he said, "Don't make my Father's house a place of merchandise," right?
Yeah.
And I'd never thought of that. Like, can you just give kind of explain what you see, why that you sent me that verse along with those emojis? Because it's important. It's very
Well,
important.
you got the earthly piece talking about knowing the knowledge of earth and knowing the knowledge of heaven. You got back then people making the temple and on the ground, Jerusalem, wherever it was, Middle East, whatever, like making it a marketplace, selling the pigeons and the.
Yeah.
And then I think about the heavens now, where they're putting up Starlink and making money off of it to the world, like selling these technologies to people, billions of dollars.
Yep.
And that's God's dominion up there. Like,
Yep.
they're literally making the heavenly house a marketplace. That's crazy.
Yes. One of my friends, Bill, he put it in a way that made me think about it different too. He was just talking about Elon Musk, why he's so aggressive with SpaceX and stuff, and he said it's because of the outlook he has on what space is. To him, if he has the capability to send things into orbit, for him, it's free real estate. and it's the biggest dollar industry,
Yep.
like production
Surely.
of anything. I mean, it's a crazy amount of money that goes. I think one of those, just the boosters, like 40 million or something. And then you have
Crazy.
all the stuff. Like, that's not even near the price. It's 55 million a seat on the Dragon capsule for an astronaut.
And that's cheap.
And that's cheap, exactly. That's way cheaper than they could get a safe ride anywhere else. And it's like, some people are like, it's all fake. And I get it. Yeah, I'm in agreement when it
That's
comes
good.
down to the actual thing we're talking about. I agree that it's fake. Do not go into any abyss of darkness and think it's a good place.
Yeah, get out of
At the
Babylon.
At the beginning of that one clip where he said it was an abyss, and then Kirk Cameron says an abyss, and he goes, yeah, a dark abyss or whatever. And he goes, so if you're not, or if you're don't like, or what did he say? If you're not into things like that, or if you're or scared of things like that, or whatever he said, then it's probably not your gig or whatever. I'm like, I know it's not my gig. And the people that say it's fake, it's definitely not their gig. Like, probably half the world just probably doesn't even believe that we went to the moon anymore. Especially when drunk Buzz goes around doing interviews telling people that they never went. In so many words. Some people want to twist his words to mean, no, that didn't mean that. When he said we didn't go, he meant something else. Like, no, but he said we didn't go to a little girl when she asked why they hadn't been back.
Right.
It's like, oh, you're twisting his words. No, you just gotta watch the interview. And then the one lady was like, was it scary? Were you scared? And he goes, what did he say? He goes, didn't happen. That's what he said. Didn't happen. He's all drunk. So anyway, like the first guy that lands on the moon put his foot down that said, one small step for man, whatever. One giant leap for mankind. He passed away probably in the within 10 years. He passed away somewhat recently. Neil Armstrong. And so the second man to step foot on the moon, which was the only other guy on that mission until they sent a whole nother mission, it was Buzz Aldrin. And he literally is all over YouTube, all over people's YouTubes and TikTok, making funny faces when Trump is talking about space, like, oh yeah, sure, making goofy faces like that. And then doing interviews with people, hammered, like hammered, barely can talk.
As if something's eating him up.
Oh yeah, as if something's. And then he says, like, the way he answers questions asked, like direct questions, he answers them in the most awkward, weird way, where he kind of dances around what he's trying to say, which he ends up saying in a weird way. We didn't go. and I even did like the slur. We didn't go. You know, she's like, were you guys afraid on your mission as you were in the whatever? And he's like, didn't happen.
That's hilarious.
The little girl says, why haven't we been back to the moon for so long, or for such a long time? And I don't remember exactly what he said first, but he did say, like, one of the things he said was, the way it happened, it didn't happen. It's like,
Just look at
he just told a little girl it didn't happen. But all the adults around there are like, that's not what he meant. The little girl's devastated. She's like, so it is BS, huh? Everybody's talking about it too. So yeah, I don't know. I think it's great.
Look at the moon press conference when they came back. It looked like their souls were ripped out.
It looks like they were in like they just were drugged or something.
You ain't lying. Hey, next
then-
week
Yeah.
we should look into the Book of Lamentations, man.
Okay, let's do it.
Yeah, there's a lot. I think
Lamentations.
I think that's talking about Jerusalem. This whole book right here.
I love that talking about the kingdom. Hey, let me point something out quick and then we'll wrap it up. I just wanted to point something out that I don't know if people have. I think people understand it, but I don't know if you have it at the front of your mind sometimes just thinking about it, because it's not always in the front of my mind, but I'm just kind of learning it right now. When Jesus came, so let's say all the people that lived and died on the earth from the time when Adam was alive until the time when Jesus was crucified.
Right.
The same concept of righteous and unrighteous or whatever. There's two places. They were all like basically awaiting a resurrection, right? I would say people in graves right now are doing the same. They're waiting a resurrection. And I'm talking about the righteous people, I guess. But and the unrighteous, I guess, will be resurrected too, but in a different way. But anyway, when Jesus was crucified, my understanding is that he fulfilled a promise that was made to Adam. And it's a very clear promise that one day when the judgment was fulfilled and the time had passed, that Jesus, the Word of God, he would go down and descend into hell. And he would break the bars of brass and destroy the kingdoms of iron. And he would rescue these souls. And he made this promise to Adam and Eve. And he said he would do that when he shed his blood at Golgotha. And so when we read about when he was on the cross in Golgotha, like in the book of Matthew chapter 27, we read about it. And when he gave up the ghost, supernatural things happened. Lots of supernatural things happened. And people saw this, and it was a sign to those people that he was the Son of God. When he was crucified and he gave up the ghost, it said there was a great earthquake. I think everyone would notice a great earthquake. So I'm picturing the centurion, because it mentions the centurion standing there watching this, right? And the people that were there that were seeing him. And so he gives up the ghost, and there's an earthquake, and then the temple, or the veil in the temple, was torn from top to bottom. Like, it tore. I don't know how many people saw that or how they knew or what. I'm just saying that's one of the things that they saw. There was a sign. And then the biggest sign to me, and these people saw this. The centurions was standing there, and the people that were there, they saw this. They saw the graves opening up, and many bodies. They saw all the graves open up, I think it said. And many bodies of the saints came up out of their graves and arose and went into the holy city. Jesus resurrected how many thousand years of people? The people before and after the flood, before him. Like, think about that when you think of Jesus. Because I never knew that. And so now when I see that, the promise that he fulfilled, that's not promised to us in the same way. We have like a different promise. But it's the same promise. It's a promise of if we believe in him, that
Salvation.
And it's an eternal thing, and it's like people say, go to heaven, right? Well, guess what? That was for all those people that were in the Old Testament before Jesus was crucified. They were promised to go back into the garden. Remember?
Right.
In the first book of Adam and Eve, that's what Jesus, because that's when he prophesied that to Adam. Adam was begging to go back into the garden, to the place of rest, because this place where he found himself was so laborsome and just so impossible to bear, and dark, and there was deception and all this stuff, and he was begging the word of God that was sent to go back into the garden, and he said, no, I can't do it this day, not until the day when I shed my blood on the cross or whatever. So he prophesied his own death and his own resurrection and the act of saving all, however many souls, an innumerable amount of souls, and bringing them up to what I understand to be the third heaven, to where paradise is, and they're there, and they've been, like Thomas would say recently, a cloud of witnesses, right, in Hebrews?
Yep.
And they're, what does it say they're doing?
The witness cloud.
Yeah, what does it say they're doing? What chapter is that in Hebrews?
Oh, I can't remember.
Let me see if I can find that. Is it 12? Is it
SpaceX
12?
launch Falcon 9, 30 minutes.
Oh boy. Yep.
Could this
So
could this be the one?
anyone interested, the Falcon 9, it comes up out of the Earth like any rocket does, right? It's a 2-stage rocket, and it lifts the Dragon capsule up to the space station. And then the Dragon capsule brings all the supplies and the necessities for the space station to continue to run, to be a thing. And in the Bible, there's a beast that comes up out of the bottomless pit, and it gets its power and its seat and its great authority from a dragon. And this dragon is cast out into the earth, and it's actually the devil. So people say, Satan's not a rocket, though. How do you know? How do you know?
I got that.
Can he
verse,
manifest as a serpent? Yeah, he can.
right?
A flying serpent? A fire-breathing serpent? Yep, he's done it all. Just think about it.
Jesus said he beheld Satan fall like lightning.
From heaven, yeah. He saw Satan fall like lightning from heaven. What is this, like when a SpaceX Dragon is coming in to land, to parachute down? What happens? How fast is it going or whatever? And then it gets a plasma ball forming around it because it gets so hot. Like burns its way through the firmament or whatever. It gets hot. They lose communication. And it falls into the ocean by Florida or whatever. A dragon capsule. Satan is cast. Satan is a dragon in Revelation 12. It says the devil, Satan, that deceiveth the whole world. So I do think that this truth, even though it's rejected by so many, especially when you first hear it, the earth is not a globe. And if we continue to believe this narrative that we were taught, I think you're not even seeking the truth, because there is truth. And my best example is the earth stationary? Yes, that's true. The earth is stationary. That's a true statement. You've never experienced anything else. You have a concept in your mind that is different, but there's no connection to reality with that concept you have. We all have that concept. We've all understood it because we were raised with it. There's a different concept, and it comes from the Bible, where there's a throne in heaven, and there's the king of it all that promised us, like the people after he was crucified, that died and lived, he promises those people that there'll be a new earth and a new heaven, and actually out from the heaven comes his kingdom, New Jerusalem, and it comes down to the earth. And then he dwells on the earth in his kingdom on the new earth. So look forward to that. He's already fulfilled all these other things that he said. So the resurrection thing, I look at it different now. We were promised heaven coming down, and Adam and Abraham and Isaiah and all those guys that lived before Jesus came, they were promised to go up to heaven. And then they're going to come down with the kingdom when it comes down. Think about it. The prophets come down, dude.
Yeah, they're already.
I will send you the prophets. Like that's.
They're already in the promised land. The prophets are.
Yeah, and then so when the promised land comes down out of heaven from God, it's not a kingdom of this world. Keep that in mind. It's not a building. It's not a brick building that we're going to have to construct. It's not a Temple Mount or anything like that in Jerusalem. It's actually a supernatural kingdom.
That's right.
A heavenly kingdom.
Jesus said
that I would argue Jeffrey Williams is not even aware of, because he's saying
right.
he was saying about understanding the creation so much. It is like it does show God's glory. I agree with Jeffrey Williams. It shows God's glory, but if we define that glory as particles and things, I don't know how, and try to go there, I don't think that's good.
Right. Jesus said that the kingdom comes without observation.
Yep. How would that make sense? Think about that. Here we go. Hebrews 12, it says, "Wherefore, seeing we are also compassed about with so great a cloud of witnesses, let us lay aside every weight and the sin which doth so easily beset us, and let us run with patience the race that is set before us, looking unto Jesus, the author and finisher of our faith, who for the joy that was set before him endured the cross, despising the shame, and sat down at the right hand of the throne of God." It's not Jeffrey Williams at the throne of God. And if Jeffrey Williams sees this, I'm not against you. I'm against the two things you seem to be kind of saying. You're kind of saying two different things with your actions and your words, right?
That's right.
So I would just say, if you can justify that, then you'll do it. You will. But there's truth in the Word of God, and I know, like I would say that Jeffrey Williams probably would agree with that. That is the most valid and the most pure place that we can understand who Jesus Christ is.
That's right.
And that when his words are written down and we literally say them out of our mouth when we read it, we know his exact things he was saying. Do we believe what he was saying? Like if we are standing there in the crowd when Jesus is speaking and when he's teaching, he's out on the boat and there's such a huge crowd and they were listening to him. He was teaching them. He was showing them how to look at things differently, and I think it had to do with his creation.
I agree. He's teaching us now too.
Yep, and I think I don't expect us to say, "Oh, well, that was a crazy deception. Glad that's over." I don't think that's gonna come. I mean, maybe in a different way, but I don't think we're gonna be like, "Oh, we're finally over that." You know what I mean? I don't think it's going to be that way. I think this is the nature of the world with technology and the amount of people and with the things that we find ourselves doing. This is the nature of the end of the world.
Couldn't have said it better.
So, Tommy, what do you got this week?
Good job, Joe. I'm actually on my last load. I'm up in Illinois. Friday they called me. I had a load from Clarksville, Tennessee to South Carolina.
Oh, yeah?
South Carolina back to Tennessee and be done. Leave Monday.
Tennessee's kind of cool. I like Tennessee.
Leave Monday to go to Florida and start my time off. But they called me Friday and when they were like, "Hey, we got a load nobody wants. Can you please haul it?" So
there goes one day of vacation.
Yeah, I'm leaving on Tuesday morning. I'm actually renting a Penske van because I couldn't rent a car that would take me out of state. They wouldn't allow it. I was like, that's retarded.
That's weird.
Yeah, you can't. You can't rent a car from Enterprise or anybody, and they won't let you take it out of state. I don't understand that.
It's weird. And then like at those places, they don't accept cash a lot of time. I think you gotta have a card or whatever. Yeah, everything's weird like that. I was at my motorcycle headlight went out yesterday, and
Yeah.
I was down like probably 20 miles from my house, and so I went to a Walmart and I got a headlight. Well, it was like behind a locked case, And so I found someone that was a few aisles down that worked there, and I asked her if I could get a light bulb out of the case. And she said, all right, I'll go get the key. I have to just go get the key from someone else. So she walked down, and she actually had to wait for the key for a little while once she told someone. So she got the key, came back over, opened it up. We got the light I needed, and I thanked her. Thank you. See ya. Have a good one. And then as I was walking, we were getting something else. I was looking for something else, and I'm like, dude, it's probably behind a cage. It was like, I don't know what it was, but I'm like, so now the new thing's going to be, I'm just kind of accelerating it 10 years or something. Now you're going to have a chaperone, like you're going to have when you go to a store, there'll be someone to assist you. And you'll have either some kind of list or give it to them verbal, and they'll take you to the right place, and they'll offer you, they'll be like, we have this, this, and this, this, and this, and here's the prices, and take whatever you want from here. And then your other requests will go over to that section right after that. And you're like riding on some dumb golf cart or something. And like you can't get in the store without like going through a security checkpoint, take your shoes off. And then you get on the golf cart with this assigned, person that's they're guarding you the whole time. Like, no sudden movement type of thing. And they're like, okay, here's the sports section, and they're watching you like a hawk. Like, don't try on any, we don't have fitting rooms, or you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It seems like the world could be like crazy like that with control, like trying to control everything.
Yeah. I see it.
Let me see your ID.
Yeah.
Got an ID?
Imagine having to go to shippers and receivers all the time. Terrible.
Oh, I bet you run into some fun situations there.
Oh, it gets crazy out here. But anyway, I'm on my last load. I leave Tuesday morning with all my stuff. Turn the truck in. They're kind of sad that I'm leaving, but whatever. Go home.
Hey, just be real. Stay in touch with the people that you kind of know, and.
Oh, I am. But
yeah,
go home for a week, and then not this Monday coming up, but the following Monday, go back up to Georgia for 2-day orientation. Then I should be back on the road.
Nice. And do you know what kind of truck or anything like that?
I'm either going to get an international automatic or a Peterbilt manual. They didn't have one.
What do you like better?
The Peterbilt manual, for sure.
Really?
Oh,
that's like more of a classic, or what?
No, they're new trucks, but I'd rather have a manual all day long, especially.
And you got a sleeper cab in the one you're rolling in, right? Or are you going short trips?
My truck's this truck's nicer. Don't get me wrong. I'm not gonna find a truck like I got.
You're always like timid about saying how nice it is, because you sent me a picture of that one you were driving. I'm like, dude, it's like one of the nicest looking semis I've ever seen.
I mean, I like the classic ones. I like the chrome. Yeah, those are the best trucks.
Yeah, I do. There are some sharp looking semis going down the road sometimes where their front bumpers is real low, and they got like some of them are just sharp looking, like almost like artwork,
Yeah.
Cool, man. Well, we're almost.
I should be back on the road. I should be back on the road. Not this Thursday, but next Thursday.
Awesome.
And my buddy took the load up to Minnesota, so he's up there now with that load I was telling you about. That they haul up there.
Do you know where it went to? Or do you know anything like the name?
Minneapolis somewhere, probably Bridgestone.
Minneapolis, okay. Yeah, I'm like a half hour, about a half hour from Minneapolis.
I'm gonna plan on it. I'm gonna plan on it. Let's see, August, September, probably before October, maybe during October.
Sounds good, man. We'll plan it out.
Yeah, before the winter for sure.
Cool. Yeah, you're too scared to be up here in the winter.
No, I mean I'll drive.
I'm just kidding. It's not. It's not that bad. I work outside in the winter a lot of not every day, but a lot of the days I'm outside for pretty much the whole day. And you get cold, but there's always a place to warm up, man.
Yeah,
there's always time when your hands get so cold that you feel like you're gonna get frostbite or something, or it starts to hurt, and you're like, you're miserable. There ain't no boss that would tell you no. You know, if you got to go and warm up in your truck or something, go warm up in your truck and get back out here, because you know what I mean. That's just part of working in the snow and stuff. It's like you could freeze out there, but when you're working, you get warmed up. So the harder you work, the kind of the warmer you are. It's true.
Oh, I remember in the block pile, same way. It don't get that cold. It don't get that cold in Florida, but like February.
But in the mornings it does. In the mornings it gets cold.
For sure. Yeah.
Cool, man. Well, we'll talk next week then, right?
For sure, brother. Much love, everybody.
I enjoyed chatting. Tony's Coffee House. I wanted to say hi. I've been trying to the whole time. So and Yoshi Yahoo too. Good to see you. All right, guys. And then next time, remind me to tell people at the beginning to try to share it or something like that. I always forget.
Yeah.
So
Always
everyone have a good week or whatever, and we'll talk to you next time. Thanks, Thomas.
See you.
See ya.